Okay, we're live. It is, I think we're live anyways. It is 104. It is 5/25, 2025. So we're heading into the end of May here. Good to see everybody already in the chat. Let me get rid of this here. Good to see Miranda here. Good to see Paula. Hey, Paula, how are you? Good to see you. Dino's here. Hey, Mino, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Missed you this morning in the Dirty Diana's chat. Miranda's here. Miranda's awesome. Hey, Miranda, how are you? Good to see you. Jocelyn's here. Hey, Jocelyn, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Tracy Fleetwood's here. Good to see Tracy. Be nice tonight, Dina. What that means. All right, so we're going to go over a couple of things tonight. Do the regular, True Crime Weekly stuff. It's good to see everybody. Then I'm going to try to over the hold on a second. We're going to go over the Kyron Horman case because that was requested last week from somebody, I forget who. But it's good to see everybody. Hope everybody's well. Let me play an intro and I'll be right back and we'll get going. We'll do that. How's everybody? Heather Brown's here. Hey, Heather, how are you? Good to see Heather. Hope you're well, Heather. Sweet Dude Shibby's in here. Good to see Sweet Dude. All right, let me play an intro and then I'll be right back. We'll get going. Good to see everybody, though. Yes, we'll go over that case. I don't know a lot about that case, but we'll go over it anyways. I really honestly don't know how. I don't know anything about that case, but all right, let me play an intro. We'll be right back. Good to see everyone. All right, so it's good to see everybody. Good to see Tracy Fleetwood in here. Good to see Miranda. Hold on a second. Hanging by a thread. That sucks. It's good to see you in here anyway. That sucks, Heather. You hang in there for us. Thinking of you always for sure. Good to see everybody in the chat, though. First things first, I do want to thank everybody. I think it was last week. I think I hit 300 subscribers. It was awesome. Thanks everybody for that. Not really here for the subscribers, but it's always good to know that people are watching, anyways, subscribing, whatever. Dandy Lioness is here. You made it live? Yeah, 299 too many. Perfectly. Shart the bet I made a live. Oh, you mean you made this live? Okay, good. Yes, it's always good to see Dandy in here. Dandy's awesome. Let's see here. And it's good to see Jocelyn here. I haven't seen Jocelyn for a while, but I know people have other things to do at 1 o'clock in the morning. So anyways, let me hide my face and we'll get going. Start to bed. That's too funny. That's classic. All right. So, So what do we want to do first here? Let's hold on a second. Let me get my act together here. Um, I think we did we do the tornado already? Let's do, hold on a second here. Oh, we'll do this one here. This happened recently here. Hold on a second. We got struck by lightning around here. Hold on a second. Mustang 65 is in here. Good to see Mustang. Good to see everybody. Let me share this. Hold on a second. You just had my gallbladder. You just had your gallbladder removed. I remember you were supposed to do that. Then I went on vacation. Well, I'm glad that went well. Did that go well? I hope that went well. And I'm glad you went on vacation. I think we went over the gallbladder thing a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure. So this happened in New Hampshire here. So let's check this out. So person struck by lightning. Suffers burns, firefighters say. Apparently, I don't think they got unalived, but hold on, here we go.
Hookset was taken to the hospital in critical condition after being struck by lightning on Saturday night. Officials say that person was treated for burns. WMUR's Monty Fleming is live on the street where this happened with what neighbors say they saw.
Well, Isabel, some of the people we talked to here on Morningside Drive say last night's storm was really one of the worst they'd ever seen hit this area. They tell us that the lightning was just so loud, it was crackling in the sky, and honestly, it was pretty scary. We do have some video of what that lightning was looking like last night, late last night. You can really just see the intense bolts, and again, that.
Dee Dee's in here. Where's Dee Dee? Let's see. I don't see her. There she is. Dirty Diana's in here. She's got awesome lives. Like I was on there this morning again, actually yesterday morning. I had a lot of shit to do though, so I couldn't really be in the comments very much. But awesome lives. She got great lives. Great guests, great lives. Feel free to put your don't lie, Dave. I'm not. I had a lot of shit to do this morning. With my luck, I'd get struck by lightning and never win the lottery. Exactly. My luck, I'd get struck twice. Don't worry, they shut me down for too much music. Did you get struck again? I went upstairs and then ended up doing so much shit upstairs, and then I forgot you were live. So did you go off right away when I went upstairs, or? Anyways, let's go back to this. Good to see you. Good to see you, Diana. A warning. I think you can play 30 seconds. Not sure. They might have that. You're showing your Canadian accent, Shibby. Hey, don't do that. Dee Dee's live in quick. That's what happens. Dee Dee got shut down. I think if you take your videos down, I don't think they can shut. I don't know. I don't know how that happens. I got struck once, I think. I don't know how that happened, but I got struck once. A long time ago. They crashed a party. YouTube haters, yeah. Take off, eh? That's fucking classic. Right, let's get back to this.
Fiery lightning. Officials weren't able to share too much information about how the person who was struck by it is doing tonight, but they do say they were hospitalized and treated for burns. Captain Stalker at Hooksett Fire says this was the first lightning strike patient some of the responders on scene had ever had to help with. So that just kind of goes to show how rare this sort of thing is, but he does say it does happen. Those responders, he says, recognized the severity of the situation and jumped right into action. Woman from this neighborhood.
It's always good to see Dandy Linus in here. She's an awesome person. It's always good to see her here. We were listening at around a little after 4 a.m. Yeah, I was. What time did I get there? 5 o'clock, I think, or so. 4 o'clock.
tells us Saturday's storm just swept through hard and fast.
It was definitely one of the worst storms we've had in here for a while.
It's been raining here since, I don't know, April. It's been raining.
Actually just got our lawn redone and it completely washed away this all last night. So we had a whole river running through our yard. It was pretty scary. The lightning was very, very loud.
So some of the folks we spoke with on this street tell us this is relatively a very tight community.
Farmer's here? Where's Farmer? There he is. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Farmer's here. Hey, Farmer, if you want a wrench, let me know. Farmer's got a great channel, awesome channel. Except at least the Joe's in here too. Feel like I've been here for at least 2 years. It's always good to see you, Dandy. Trivia Tracy. It's classic. Good to see Farmer in here. Farmer's got a great channel. Go check him out. Awesome stuff. Heck yeah, wrench. All right. Give me 2 seconds. I'll get you a wrench. Well, you can throw your chat in here, your channel. Anybody that's got a channel, feel free to throw your channels in here because it'll take me forever to find them. I know Jocelyn's got a channel. I know that Farmer's got a channel. I don't know if Lisa Joe's got a channel or not. I know that Paul's got a channel for sure. So feel free to throw them in the chat and I'll get Farmer a wrench here pretty soon. So let's get done with this here. We'll move on to something else.
So they've just been praying and wishing well for the person who was hurt. We're live in Hooks It tonight. Imani Fleming, WMUR News Now.
Okay, so I don't think they died or anything. I think, we'll do this since we're here. So hold on a second. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Harmony Montgomery
it's important
case.
to know that
Hold on a second. But I think her mother, the mother got awarded some, JP's in here. Where's JP? There he is. Good to see JP in here. Thank you, Miranda. Thank you for doing that. Zeke's in here. I'm pretty sure that's from the 3021. Not sure. Trying to keep up with the chat here. Start the bed joke to Dino and got ignored. That's funny. All right, so let's go back to this here. So let's so apparently the mother got awarded finally from the state, and I'll play this. Hold on a second. Am I sharing this? Yeah. Okay.
Harmony's biological.
So New Hampshire settles lawsuit filed by mother of Harmony Montgomery for $2.2 million. I can't believe it's that little, but here we go.
Mother Crystal Sorey filed this lawsuit after a judge helped declare the little girl legally dead. $2,250,000. That is how much money the state of New Hampshire is paying to resolve the wrongful death lawsuit filed by Harmony Montgomery's biological mother, Crystal Sorey.
I mean, I think this was expected.
Legal expert Patricia LaFrance says it isn't surprising the state wanted to avoid going to trial.
It would really just open wide maybe what goes on behind the scenes of DCYF, and they probably did not want to risk that.
In September, Sorey accused the state's Division of Children, Youth, and Families of ignoring reports of abuse made months before authorities say her 5-year-old daughter was killed. Last May, Harmony's father, Adam, was convicted and is now serving decades in prison for her murder. The little girl's...
All right, let me know if that worked, Farmer. I think I just get you a wrench. If anybody else wants a wrench, let me know. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Harmony Montgomery case, but this guy here, there you go. I see the wrench, so you got it. Guy's a piece of shit. Adam Montgomery's a piece of crap. He's exactly where he needs to be. I don't think they've ever found her.
Those remains have never been found.
People are still going to walk away with, obviously, New Hampshire did something wrong or they wouldn't have paid this out.
News 9 has learned that after attorney costs are taken care of, 50% of what's left of the payout will go to Crystal Sorey, and the other half will go to a third-party trust for all
Look at this, after attorney's fees.
four of Harmony's siblings.
I was a little surprised. The amount itself isn't large. It's not huge.
The state says by settling, it isn't admitting to any wrongdoing. Sorey's suit was one of 3 cases settled by the state Friday. The state's quote, "The state agreed to these settlements to avoid prolonged litigation and support closure for the families. We recognize their profound loss and hope."
Yeah, the whole case, just typical, just crappy work by the state for sure. He's probably looking for a darn charger. Yes. I hope you're well, Heather. Zeke is the fake Silky. Yeah. Always good to see Zeke in the chat, though. Because he ain't safe. No, let the chips fall. Hopefully he gets what he deserves at some point. It agreed that these settlements to avoid prolonged litigation. That shit bullshit.
This brings some measure of peace.
And we did try speaking directly with Crystal Sorey today, but her attorneys tell us that they won't be speaking or commenting any further about this. We're live in Manchester tonight. Imani Fleming.
To be honest with you, in this case here, I think the only people that really feel bad about the whole situation is the fathers that wanted to adopt Harmony, but didn't get the chance to. Because I think everybody else is literally a living piece of shit. So I don't know, but I know the state did everybody wrong. So they got what they deserve anyways, and everybody else. Poor little kid, it just sucks. Just my opinion. All right, so that's done. We don't have to do that. I'll stop sharing this here. And I do want to go to this because this is pretty eerie here. I want to show you this here. Hold on a second. This happened during the tornado outbreak here, but I watched this earlier tonight. This is pretty, you got to watch till the end because this thing is, this forms right in about here. You got to wait for it. It happens right, I don't know, about 1:30 into this, but check this out. So this happened. This was a viewer that caught the Little County tornado on camera. And of course, this is at night, so you can't really see anything, but you can definitely see this forming here. So here's this here. Whoops. So I think this was the one that hit 11:49 at night. So I don't know exactly the date, but this video was done 7 days ago. So must have been right around the time it actually happened. But you see these clouds forming here. This is awesome. Watch this. Well, it's not awesome, but it's just pretty eerie how this thing just forms in here. It seems like tornadoes always happen at night. It could be because of the cooling, between the day and the night. But I don't think they've actually done any research on that. Is this the Children of the Corn Producers cut? Yeah, this is classic. You can see it, the updraft here kind of filling into this tornado system here. See that right there? Hold on. Yeah, just look at that. Look at that. Huh, that's something you don't want to see. And it immediately starts a debris field before it even touches the ground right there. That was awesome. All right, hold on a second. I want to go to this here because I think we have a live police chase going on. Hold on a second. Share screen. Hold on one second.
Going to try and take another car. There are people standing out here. He's running into Pogo's Bar and Grill. We all see this happening. The helicopter has eyes on this too. There are people standing out here in the window. I don't know if they realize what's going on, but they see the LAPD helicopter. They can hear it. And there is no hiding from the police. They are going to get this guy, this pursuit driver, wanted for reckless driving, who's believed to be armed with a gun. He left his car, ran through an alley, through a parking lot, and then just ran into Pogo's Bar and Grill. This is going to be near Satakoy Street.
So apparently this is happening right this very second. I think we're catching the Pogos for a burger. Yeah, apparently this is.
And Louise in the Lake Balboa area. Let's see how long it takes for cops to show up and to get this guy into custody. That might be the manager walking out now, pointing at the sky, wondering what is going on. And here we go. The ground units are here. LAPD pulling up at Pogo's Bar and Grill, looking for this pursuit suspect who bailed out of that car, ran through an alley.
He went in the store.
Now
He's got to be in the store somewhere. He went right in here.
I'm hearing out on the LAPD scanner, he may have gone through a smoke shop. So I'm widening out here, trying to see if we can see the back door that he might have run out of. But you see those LAPD units setting up a perimeter around here.
I think they lost him because he went right into this doorway here. And everybody in the store is right here. So he's got to be in here or I don't know.
Hey, George, can we come around? Can we come around? Yeah, LAPD officers now saying they saw him run into the back of the smoke shop. They did not see that suspect run out. Meaning he is still inside likely. They're going to set up this perimeter and then go in and get this man into custody.
So obviously this is happening in Los Angeles, but I thought he went into the store here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 cops right here.
Let's keep eyes on this. You can just slow over a bit.
Look at them all. One, there's
Okay,
more.
you see officers now walking into this building on the left side, the smoke shop. But I definitely saw screen. Pogo's bar are connected. But I'm hearing them say they saw the suspect go in through the back of the smoke shop and they didn't see him come out anywhere.
Hey, Peggy, oh, how are you? Good to see you. Who's your daddy's in here? Good to see you. Who's your daddy in here?
Okay, they're clarifying now and telling officers on the ground he actually went into the door on the right.
Oh, my
And
God.
you all watched that happen live here. It was Pogo's Bar and Grill.
Barbara Hall's here.
You see
Hey,
people
Barbara.
coming
Hey,
out
Miss
of that
Barbara, how are you? Good to see you.
Standing outside of the parking lot. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so we have eyes on any other door.
Just kind of what this is just going on right now in Los Angeles. I know he went in this door there. He didn't go in this one.
There's somebody pulling out of the adjacent parking lot right now, or pulling in. I was going to say, I didn't see the person who got into that car. The suspect, I think he was wearing a light-colored shirt. I think it was a white T-shirt. Hey, George, can we come back around? Keep eyes on the door. No, I think officers are going to go into Pogo's. And there are people coming out the front as well.
Oh, there's a door. There's doors in the front, too. So, yeah, he's gone.
Back to where we were.
He's a goner. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, this is going on right now. This is supposedly some sort of a car chase, and then the guy went into this.
I'm seeing 2 off. They got new information about where this suspect might have taken off to, but the helicopter is still overhead, and there are a group of officers standing behind that bar and grill. Yeah, now they're saying they checked the smoke shop. The smoke shop is clear. They've got police stationed in front of and behind these businesses.
He's gone. I don't know why they went in here. He's not in there. He's in this. He went in this bar and grill here.
And we're going to keep eyes on the back door of this bar and grill. That's where we saw the suspect run into.
I think he's gone.
I imagine they're checking surveillance video from inside this business as well.
Spoon.
To confirm the suspect did not run out. He definitely did come out of this door, but it might have been the front door to Satakoy Street.
That's funny. It's classic. All right. I like these chases. They're pretty cool. But I think this guy's gone. I think he took off.
And it looks like they've got the suspect now.
Oh my God, they got him. Awesome.
Yeah, look at the door. I'm going to go in with the door.
Huh. They can't get him out of the door. Huh. There he is. He's a big guy.
That's the pursuit suspect we saw getting out of the car
Yep.
and then running into the back door of this bar and grill.
All right, well, they got him. I thought he was gone, but nope, that's him for sure. Well, we were watching the other stuff, but
LAPD officers, this guy out now.
all right, so that was fun. All right, so we're going to go back to the inmate. Miss K's in here. Yeah, these car chases sometimes can get pretty interesting. We caught the tail end of this one. That's the problem. But they got him. That's all that matters. He'll probably get out in a couple of weeks. All right. So let's go to the inmate thing. I think they got 5 of them. There's 5 still missing. I don't know if anybody's been following this here, but let's see here. These guys broke out of this Orleans Parish last week. We did the and now there's 5 left. So here we go.
McCoy in Orleans Parish, the frantic search for escapees is still underway. It's been 1 week since 10 inmates escaped the jail and 5 inmates are in custody. Take a close look at this. These are the men still on the run tonight. The search has also led to the arrest of 5 people accused of helping the escapees. Today, a judge set the bond for a 5th accused accomplice who allegedly helped the men escape. Jacob Bradford has a breakdown of what all happened this week.
Last Friday, a scene you'd think you'd see in an action movie caught on the Orleans Justice Center cameras. 12:23 a.m. Inmates started yanking on a cell door, eventually pulling it off its track. They entered a cell, then 10 escaped from a hole in the wall behind a toilet. Inmate Trayvon Williams is said to have helped them in their escape, although the exact details of how he helped are not known at this time. At 1:01 a.m., the escapees are seen running through a loading dock door,
This is just, I remember laughing my ass off about this. Look at all these guys just running out of this place. It's just
scaling a wall before they were spotted running across the interstate as cars hit the brakes to avoid crashing into them. Sometime before 1:30 a.m., police say Courtney Harris, along with Casey Smith, picked up Leo Tate, Jermaine Donald, and
I think they got 5 of them. They've rearrested 5, and now there's 5 still missing. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I think, when was this done? This was done 16 hours ago. But I think they might have caught somebody after this. Hold on a second.
a 3rd unknown escapee in the 1700 block of Dupree Street off Washington Avenue near Central City. Police say they dropped that 3rd inmate off just minutes later at South Broad and 4th Streets. Then police say they drove to Dale Street in New Orleans East, where witnesses say they spotted Jermaine Donald, who asked them for money before leaving. About a half hour later at 2:11 a.m., surveillance cameras capture video of Antoine Massey, Lenton Van Buren, and Derek Groves walking down an alley off Barone Street in the CBD. Video also shows them crossing Howard Avenue at Barone. It wasn't until nearly 7.5 hours later at 8:30 a.m. that the sheriff's office says employees discovered the inmates missing during a routine head count. And a half hour after that, at 9 a.m., Sheriff Susan Hudson says she was notified.
You got to go inside the facility to be able to see. They could have been anywhere. We have to make sure that's exactly what happened. We have to pull all the video and find out what happened. That takes a little bit of time.
At 9:58, escapees Kendall Miles and Corey Boyd are seen walking in the French Quarter on Project NOLA crime camp.
Good to see Miss K in here. Good to see you. Good to see everybody in here. All right, I've pretty much done the same. Sometimes I like to cover stuff that's live because it's I don't know, sometimes it's entertaining.
Cameras. At about 10:15, Fox 8 breaks the story. 10:30, New Orleans police look.
The good news with the majority of these people here that break out of prisons like this here, they're not really the smartest people in the world. So they usually just hang right around town, or usually they just commit another crime. Some of them probably want to go back.
Learn of the escapes, and at 10:50, the sheriff's office notifies the public. The next recording of an escapee comes in at 11:12. as video shows Miles's arrest in front of the Hotel Monteleone, hiding under a parked car. Miles was originally in the OJC on robbery and second-degree murder charges. 7 inmates were still on the loose.
Did no one see this on the cameras? Is anyone watching the cameras? Because you would think that this would be like a huge, somehow the system would flag this like, hey, you know, there's a bunch of people now running out the building.
Throughout the weekend, seems like this was seen around the city. This video was taken Saturday afternoon on the I-10 service road in New Orleans East. Large armored trucks and SWAT teams from Louisiana State Police rushing to chase down leads and make arrests. Sunday, the reward for tips leading to an arrest increases to $20,000 per inmate.
In addition to the FBI increasing their award from $5,000 to $10,000, I would ask that you go ahead and increase the Crime Stoppers award to $5,000. That's a $3,000 increase. Both Senator Henry and I are going to cover that.
They've charged, I think it's 3 people now with, I don't want to call it aiding and abetting, but I think, I definitely think that there was people that looked the other way when these guys took off. Because you can't not see that many people escaping.
Around 7 the following evening, state police recaptured 21-year-old Gary Price in the East. Price was originally in jail on first-degree murder and domestic abuse charges. Tuesday, jail maintenance worker Sterling Williams is arrested, charged with helping the inmates by turning off the water to the toilet they escaped behind. His bond is set at $1.1 million. His attorney and family say he was following orders from a deputy to shut the water off to the toilet that was allegedly clogged.
Stay strong, Sterling. We're coming to get you.
I think they're going to try to scapegoat some people here to hide, some of the stuff. You can't trust anything that goes on these places here, because I'm telling you, man, I guarantee you that can't guarantee you, but I wouldn't doubt if somebody higher up is responsible for this, and now they're blaming other people.
Sterling strong.
Sterling strong.
Sterling strong.
Sterling strong.
We here for you, Sterling. Mama here for you.
Investigators say Williams was threatened with being shanked if he did not shut that water off. Attorney General Liz
Luis Cuevas is in here. Good to see you. I hope I'm saying that right. Good to see you, Luis. Good to see everybody. Just going over this inmate thing here.
Merle says Williams had plenty of time to alert his
2 parents are enough. What's this GoFundMe? It's always good to see Luis in here. GoFund Dino. What's going on with Dino? Miss Persevere's in here. Hey, Miss Persevere, good to see you. Wouldn't it be an odder day to not get threatened at your prisoner? Right, exactly. The guy, it's a GoFundMe Kyron set up for Heather. Okay, good. Can I hold on a second? I wonder if I can put that in a scroll thing.
his supervisors.
I think that he made some bad decisions. I mean, I don't think that he had to do any of the things that he did.
Shortly before 8 Tuesday evening, 19-year-old Corey Boyd is arrested at an apartment building on Iberville Street. Police arresting 4 women they say helped the inmates, such as driving them around the city and sending money. That includes 30-year-old Casey Smith, 32-year-old Courtney Harris, 38-year-old Cravante Baptiste, and 59-year-old Connie Whedon.
And tonight, these are the 5 inmates that are still on the run. 27-year-old convicted killer Derek Groves, 32-year-old Antoine Massey, who was wanted in St. Tammany Parish for rape and kidnapping. 42-year-old Jermaine Donald and 26-year-old Lenton Van Buren are facing charges of second-degree murder. 31-year-old Leo Tate faces drug and burglary charges. All are said to be dangerous offenders. And earlier this evening, police arrested 28-year-old Emmett Weber in New Orleans East. He is also accused of helping some of those inmates avoid capture. The reward for information leading to an arrest sits at $20,000. If you know anything, you are urged to call Crime Stoppers at 822-1111. Your tip will remain anonymous.
Okay, so I want to go to, hold on a second. Hold on, let's do this one here. We won't do all of this, but try this one here.
Have not even heard yet that he escaped, because this fella wasn't one of the escaped 10. He was an 11th from another jail in Louisiana. I know it's complicated, but Friday doesn't have to be. So I am here to break it all down for you. But I am going to tell you that the guy I was about to tell you about that was news, this new inmate escapee from another jail, is no longer an escapee. However, there is other news about the 5 guys still on the run, who were at one time 10 guys still on the run. The 5 guys are still out there, but more people are taking their place in jail for having helped them with this little piece of business, jumping off the loading dock and making their way to freedom. Yeah, there's yet another arrest that's been made. Allegations that a guy who stayed behind didn't even jump off the loading dock with them. Another inmate apparently decided to stay behind and had helped them escape. So now he's facing not just 1, but 10 charges of escape, just like that maintenance worker who's also now an inmate. Yeah. It's all very complicated, which brings forth the question, what the hell is going on in Louisiana jails? One thing I can tell you about Louisiana, and New Orleans in particular, is that there's some technology out there on the streets, scanning for your faces, right? Could have caught these guys sooner if it weren't for the ACLU telling the police, you can't do that. It's an invasion of our privacy. So the police shut off the alerts that might have told them sooner, hey, that guy just ran by your camera. Anyway, I'm going to get into all of this with you in just a moment, but I also have big news on the Idaho murder story, right? The quadruple murder story. I know you are all waiting for that trial to begin. And I know you all heard the news that there is a potential delay that could happen because of that Dateline special that aired a couple weeks ago that was filled with information that was not supposed to be leaked under the gag order. Now Brian Koberger's defense attorneys want more time to prepare. Oh, but guess what else could happen? It is entirely possible that the judge could look at this case and say that is such an egregious violation of the gag order. Whomever among the police or prosecutors who knew the information and leaked the information, it could take the death penalty off the table. Yeah, I have to whisper it because I know it's making your heads pop off for a lot of you. Some of you are like, good, I think the death penalty is wrong. But it is a reality, and I'm going to discuss it with somebody who's very close to Idaho law. She literally practices in Idaho. That's coming up. And so is Brian Enton, who's at the top of this story. And then, oops, Britney Spears did it again. She got herself in trouble with the law. Every so often, police show up for Britney these days because of, I don't know how else to
Okay, so I think I created that to scroll across. Let me know if that's right. Gonna go outside to smoke. Damn. Trying to find that. So let me know if that's the right GoFundMe thing. I'll have that scrolling across the bottom for Heather.
Describe it. Antics. Now that the conservatorship is gone, Britney's free to roam about the cabin. And apparently what she did in one of those airline cabins was very, very illegal. And it would put you and me in cuffs. When was the last time you saw somebody light up a cigarette on an airplane? Me too. It's been since 2000. It was probably me in the year 2000. But Britney did it. She decided to light up on a plane. And what happened afterwards caused a stir, caused the flight attendants to call La Policia, who showed up on the tarmac. I will take you through it all, let you know what happened to the Oops, I Did It Again star. Starting here, though, it turns out that $100,000 reward money isn't the only reason that people who know something about those escaped inmates might decide in New Orleans to call the cops. It's not even the best reason. Because while 5...
So is that the right? Because I'm terrible at copying stuff down. gray pubes. It's always good to see everybody in the chat. But we'll have that scrolling across the bottom for Heather, and we love Heather here. She's amazing.
Of the 10 escapees are now out into their second week on the run. Their alleged helpers, who could have been
How does this happen? Like, where are they running out of? Like, they're just running out. I mean, it's just so weird.
cashing in with all that reward money, instead are getting themselves caught. 6 so far, if you count the maintenance worker at the Orleans Parish lockup who allegedly turned off the water to the toilets that helped the inmates rip it off the wall without everybody suspecting they were running for it. He's the first one. Then 4 suspects allegedly gave fugitives a ride or some money or some food or a place to hide or whatever else. All of them are women. And apropos of absolutely nothing, look at the first names. Courtney, Corvante, Casey, and Connie. I don't get it either.
So these are the arrested for aiding, I would have said it right, aiding jailbreakers. So these are the 4 they got so far. I think these people are just being scapegoated here. That's just my opinion.
But they all start with C. And now a 6th alleged helper was arrested today. And police did not have to go very far to track this one down, because Trayvon Williams was already locked up inside the troubled New Orleans jail for unrelated reasons. But now he's also being charged with being a principal in his fellow inmates' escape. And I just want to correct one thing. By the way, he's not just facing 1 count of escape, he's facing...
I don't trust anybody in prison. Guards, wardens, nobody. I don't trust anybody. Inmates, you can go and find probably the most corrupt people in prison systems, period.
10, like the maintenance worker. 10. What a drag. He's facing 10 escape charges, whereas each of these guys is all, they're all facing 1. But what a bummer, though. 1 for each charge of the inmate busted out. So let me go back to the picture that you had up on the screen a second ago of Trayvon Williams. So I think at the beginning of the show, when I was telling you about the other inmate from a whole other jail that busted out and has been caught, we showed this picture. It's too hard to keep them all straight. There's so many jail busties. But no, this is the guy who allegedly helped the 10 escape, and he's still in jail. He didn't escape with them, and what a drag for him. I mean, that really stinks.
But make that make sense. Make that make sense. Like, this guy here helps these guys escape, and he wasn't one of the escapees. That just doesn't make any sense. Sure, it's possible, but I don't know. This is fishy to me here.
But now, let me tell you about this other guy. My goodness, it's so complicated. This other jailbird who broke out, his name is Trayvon Johnson. He's 19 years old. He was being held just north of New Orleans in the Tangipahoa parish, and police say he was in jail because he was charged with a 2022 home invasion where a man was killed and a child was hurt, and he was charged with murder and attempted murder. Anyway, they say he busted out. They do say he's pretty small. He's like only 5'5" and 120 pounds, and what I wouldn't give to be 5'5" and 120 pounds. But somehow this little fella was able to get up and over a fence yesterday afternoon and run for it. And just like the New Orleans jailbreak,
Luis's Zeke. This is like the biggest thing going. I agree. People just surviving from guards and other inmates at all costs. Exactly. You're not Zeke, so that's not Zeke. Pedro Zeke.
Hours and hours and hours went by before anybody actually noticed Trayvon missing. In fact, hours more may have passed had somebody not actually called that jail north of New Orleans to ask if he was there. Like, how long would he have been out before someone noticed he was gone? And this is a really, really valid question. Especially since exactly almost a year ago, in May of last year, that guy, Trayvon Johnson, also broke out of jail. And it was the same jail. I cannot write this stuff better. So clearly the guy has been to this rodeo before.
Congratulations, Miranda. That's not easy to do. I just got back and I'm technically challenged. It took me 15 minutes to get the link. 2031. Yeah, from the 2031, right? Dave is an owl. Danger, danger, danger. Like people said you were Alex before. I thought you were Alex. I don't know anymore.
But as of now, like I said, off the top of the show, breaking news, moments ago, they announced he's back behind bars. I guess he didn't get far. I guess he's not very good at breaking out and staying out. He's good at breaking out. He's not good at staying out. We just got word that he was recaptured. So I don't know. Maybe they will keep a better eye on him this time.
So this one was done 14 hours ago. Play a little bit more of this, then we'll move on to Brian Walsh here.
Let me tell you about the maintenance worker, though. The maintenance worker who cops say made the Orleans Parish jailbreak possible. A friend of his says that this guy never would have done this on his own.
Sterling Williams, personally, all he does is play games, and he is so, like, I'm not gonna say he green, but he is.
Whoever Zeke is, let me know if you want a wrench. Miranda is Randy, his Chronicle High School channel version. Beverly Hills 90210, baby. What happened to Dirty Diana? Is she still here?
He's a school head. He graduated from Culver. He's not into.
He's like a nerd.
He's a nerd. So
let's keep it 100. He a nerd.
If anybody was to walk up to him and tell him that's gonna shank him, he would do whatever they tell him to do.
I love that she's like candid. He's a nerd. News Nation's national correspondent Mill Hayes has been in New Orleans all week on this story. She joins me now again live. Mills, I am not going to ask you to weigh in on whether or not you think that Sterling Williams is a nerd. That is for the justice system to determine. But I do want to ask you about the latest on this inmate who was arrested for allegedly helping these 10 guys take off and then not leaving himself. What do you know? Right, Trevon Williams. So we learned.
JCN's in here. Hey, JCN, good to see you. Or D evil. I should put up a poll. Should I do a poll? Do I even know how to do one of those? Melrose Place.
From Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrell that he was arrested today in connection to this. And according to the arrest affidavit, he was inside the same cell where those 10 inmates escaped. And he also gave them a.
I think this is the same street right here where that car plowed into. I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
Blanket and a shirt that helped them be able to throw those clothes on top of the barbed wire fence. Then they were able to get over that fence and then escape. And so when he was asked by investigators about this, he originally said he had no memory of the inmates escaping. But of course, the surveillance camera shows otherwise. After the investigation, they found out that it was his blanket and his shirt that they used to scale that fence. Ashley.
Oh, man. Well, that's the kind of evidence you can definitely trace. So that's going to be rough on him because it's not just one charge, it's 10, like the maintenance worker. So now talk to me a little bit about this latest guy, Trevon Johnson. There's a lot of Trevons going on, right? So you just talked to me about, I think, Trevon Williams. Now this is Trevon Johnson, and he was the latest breakout from the jail north of New Orleans. But even before I had a chance to check in with you, I got word that they caught him. Do you know the details?
Yeah, we just heard from Louisiana State Police less than 30 minutes ago. They say that they captured Trevon.
Right? She's probably plowed. She's probably getting plowed and reporting at the same time. So, yeah.
Trevon Johnson, he was being held in the Teravahola Parish Jail, which is about an hour northwest of New Orleans area. And this all happened yesterday. And according to all the information, it happened around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And this is what the sheriff said. Around 4 o'clock, that jail,
I'm telling you, man, this is the best chat right here. This is My So-Called Life. that was a good show, wasn't it?
Inmates clogged up a shower, and in order for the deputies to be able to go and help and get that water out of the cell, they had to open up a door to the outdoor yard, and that's where Johnson was able to get out of the yard, and another inmate was.
So, quick little story about Farmer. A long time ago, when I first met Farmer, I didn't meet him, but I think he was in Sleuth's Channel. Was it Sleuth's Channel? Might have been Sleuth's Channel. This is the first time I saw the name Farmer Derek, right? Because I think he was under the Farmer Derek back then. But before that, me and my wife were watching another guy on YouTube called Farmer Derek or Derek Farmer or something like that. And he had this huge farm in Kansas, and around the farm he had a video cam of these great horned owls that were having their babies. So we watched the whole entire basically spring from when the owls were really tiny to when they actually grew up and fledged. So I asked Farmer Derek if he was Derek Farmer, the guy that owned the farm. But that's how I met Farmer. So there's a guy. If you type in, it's either Derek Farmer or something like that. That's so that's how I met Farmer.
With him, another separate inmate helped push over that fence, so he was escaped. But this 19-year-old, as you mentioned, he's escaped from this same jail before last Memorial Day weekend, along with 5 other inmates. But this time around,
Well, I guess I asked the farmer if he's a real farmer. That guy just grow pumpkins or weed. I think I asked you if you were that guy, and you're like, who the hell is that? Same name. Wicked funny.
he escaped around 4:30 in the afternoon, and the deputies did a check of all the inmates at shift change around 6 o'clock.
A 120-pound murder suspect goes over jail fence. I mean, how does that even happen?
They didn't notice that any of the inmates were missing, and then they got a call. The sheriff's office did about 10 o'clock at night that someone called and asked, "Hey, is Johnson still in your jail?" And that's when deputies went back to the cell, realized he was missing, and then informed the sheriff's office. And now 4 deputies.
I got to go to New Orleans. This looks like a lot of fun here.
Are on administrative leave at this moment, but as you mentioned, the New York State Police have captured him, so he will be going back to that same jail, actually.
All right, so that's the end of that. I thought we were going to get more information. We didn't. So let's move on to something else. I'll come back to that if we have to later on, but there's so many other things to get to. I want to get to this Brian Walsh thing, but the fields are leased. Hold on a second. All right, so this is, I don't know if you guys know about this Brian Walsh case. I'm pretty sure most people do. So he's allegedly being held responsible for Anna Walsh. She was last seen in her Massachusetts home 2 years ago, New Year's Day, actually. But the law enforcement missing person investigation quickly turned into an unaliving inquiry. This happened in Massachusetts right around the same. And he wants some of the, obviously, that's one of these things that goes on in every case. They want some of the search history tossed. This was done. Hold on. This was done a couple of days ago. This trial should be starting fairly shortly here. But this is this court battle here.
Someone's internet search history has once again landed them in serious hot water, with a Massachusetts father standing accused of killing his wife. But the defense wants the judge to keep those incriminating searches away from a jury. We were in court for Brian Walsh's latest hearing. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey, real quick, I want to thank OneSkin for sponsoring today's episode of Sidebar, because let's be honest, being on camera as much as I am, having the right skincare products matters. And our skin of 2023, her husband, Brian Walsh, became a suspect in her disappearance. Within days, he would be under arrest, accused of not only killing Anna, but of dismembering her. And law enforcement in Cohasset, Massachusetts says Walsh's own internet search history could put him behind bars for a very long time. But now Walsh's defense team is trying to have that evidence tossed out before Walsh goes to trial in front of a jury. And I got to give you a little bit of backstory here to understand why this is so big. So Anna, who's originally from Serbia, lived in Cohasset, Massachusetts with her husband, Brian, and their 3 children. She worked in Washington, D.C., commuted back and forth. The family had reportedly celebrated.
This poor woman here had to get involved in this big piece of dog shit right here. It's just so sad.
New Year's Eve with a family friend when she was allegedly called to a work emergency on New Year's Day, and she was never seen again. When she stopped showing up for work, her employer was the one.
This is classic right here. I had to remove a tick from my pet tick. It's so fucking funny. Oh, the ticks are absolutely awful this year. They're just terrible, especially here. You can't even go out in the grass and the good news is our dogs have the stuff you got to have for dogs for the ticks, because they go out there and bring them in here.
One who actually first reported her missing. So then an officer went to the Walsh home to perform a wellness check, and her husband said he hadn't heard from her since she left for DC. And that is when disturbing details started to emerge, because Walsh apparently made several disturbing Google searches, which led police to believe Anna was dead. Law enforcement also discovered that Walsh had lied to them about where he'd been in the days between January 1st, when Anna was reportedly last seen, and January 4th, when Cohasset police performed that wellness check. Walsh was arrested on January 18th, and despite Anna's body never being found, he was indicted on charges of murder, misleading a police investigation, and improper conveyance of a.
The tick thing has to be some sort of a anomaly, because I don't remember ever having to be worried about ticks. I mean, I know ticks have always been around, but it seems like they're getting worse and worse and worse. Just my opinion. Google this: how to delete Google history. I'm telling you, criminals are really stupid. It's they always bring their phones with them.
Human body, meaning police believe that Walsh somehow disposed of Anna once she was dead.
No.
And during an early court hearing back in 2023, the prosecutor read some of those internet searches that Walsh had apparently made after Anna's disappearance, read them aloud for the court. A doozy, to say the least.
What I'd like to do now is just describe his actions in the days from January 1st. The defendant indicated on January 1st at 3 p.m. he did some errands and went to his mother's house in Swampscott, but got lost because he didn't have his phone. He said he knew he was lost when he saw the pirate ship on Route 1. Defendant stayed 15 minutes, then went to Whole Foods and CVS. Surveillance was checked and he did not enter either of those stores.
You had a tick too? You had Lyme disease. Yes. They found some, I don't know if they found a lot of it, but they found some. I don't think they found DNA. I forget now. This case has been kind of in the background here, but I think they found some stuff in the basement. I don't know if they're directly tying it to her or not, but
on January 1st, defendant Googled using his son's iPad. Some of the searches are as follows. Keep in mind that the defendant said he left at 6 a.m. At 4:55 a.m. on January.
I think his mother, his parents, right by Lyme, Connecticut. When I get a tick on my body, I use magnesium dry cream on my body. They can make you very sick. Yes, ticks are not good. especially if you let it go. Like if you let it go, that makes it worse.
First, he searched how long before a body starts to smell. At 4:58 a.m., how to stop a body from decomposing.
So you got to listen to these internet searches here, right? Like this is equivalent to what a real true crime person would probably Google search, right?
iPad. Some of the searches are as follows. Keep in mind that the defendant said he left at 6 a.m. At 4:55 a.m. on January 1st, he searched how long before a body starts to smell. At 4:58.
Whoops, shit.
For me, stating cell phone.
Like usual, but despite that being Walsh's story, an officer testified that her cell phone last pinged.
Clothes away or wash them. Those
So
are
how long does it take for a body to smell, right? Like these are things that he searched.
January 1st. There was also information gained from the defendant's phone, which showed on January 2nd he was at Home Goods in Norwell, where he purchased 3 rugs. There were also more Google searches on January 2nd. At 12:45 p.m., hacksaw best tool to dismember. At 1:10 p.m., can be charged with murder without a body. At 1:14 p.m., can you identify a body with broken teeth?
Such damning information, such damning evidence. And according to an affidavit of probable cause, Walsh was also spotted on a surveillance camera at Home Depot. This apparently was a shopping trip that he never mentioned to police. The affidavit indicates he was wearing a black surgical mask and blue surgical gloves and made a cash purchase. Investigators later determined he spent $450 on things like cleaning supplies. Authorities say they found the Walsh's DNA along with a COVID vaccine card for Anna, some of her clothes, a hacksaw, cutting shears, and a hatchet in trash bags in a dumpster, apparently across the street from Walsh's mother's condo complex.
Yeah, the Massachusetts accent is some of them are pretty annoying. It's just certain ticks, though. I think there's certain ticks that'll be worse than other ticks because we have a lot of deer ticks around here. These guys need to watch Breaking Bad. The show knows how to deal with bodies. Yeah, it's went to ER immediately. Was that recent, Farmer? And then it had like start squirming. Yeah, and you can't. You have to burn them. You have to burn them.
Complex. In fact, the surveillance photo was discovered from January 3rd, showing someone wearing a face mask throwing away what appeared to be heavy.
I know that there's chickens will eat ticks. I know because everybody around here has chickens. Don't tell Gray Hughes that. But possum eat ticks too, and I think was guinea fowl, any type of bird. But the problem with birds and stuff like that eat them is they can become the host too. So, but I know that there's certain ticks like the black-legged tick is probably one of the worst ones, and then there's the other one. But the best thing to do is to avoid them.
And then a bloody, damaged knife was also reportedly found in the basement of the Walsh home. Now, despite all this apparent evidence, Walsh has entered a not guilty plea. He's been behind bars with no bail ever since. He faces life in prison if he's convicted. But now we got to talk about what's happening. Okay, so with Walsh's trial that's expected to start in October, his defense team, and arguably one of their best moves that they should be doing, is to make sure as little of this evidence comes into trial and the jury doesn't see it, right? So his defense team is trying to get some of the evidence in this case thrown out, including the electronic device extraction that uncovered those chilling, eerie Google searches. So you had a 2-day evidentiary hearing that was held this week with the prosecution and the defense making arguments in front of a judge. So several investigators who worked on Anna Walsh's missing person case and subsequently her murder investigation, they were called to testify. And according to Cohasset Police, Anna was last seen at work on December 29th, then last seen by the family friend at the New Year's Eve get-together. Walsh had apparently told police that Anna had got up early to travel to D.C. for this apparent work emergency, saying she took an Uber or a Lyft to the airport like usual. But despite that being Walsh's story, an officer testified that her cell phone last pinged the following day, January 2nd, 2023, around 3 in the morning.
So let's do this here. Hold on one second. Fix. Let's do this one here. I don't think anybody's going to be able to see that. Okay, hold on one second. Let's do this. Okay, I don't know if anybody can see this since we're talking about this. So, can anybody kind of see that? All right, so this is deer tick, Northeast, Upper Midwest. So this is probably the most, I don't want to say prominent tick, but this is the one that most people will see, I would think, right? And then these are the tiny, tiny little baby ticks, and there's a nymph and there's an adult tick there. So these things are fairly small. This is the Western black-legged tick, West Coast. So this is probably the same thing as this tick here. Just these are found mostly in the West Coast. There's your black-legged tick, Midwest and the Southeast. So these, I don't know, probably the same kind of as these. This is the Lone Star tick throughout the United States. These are everywhere. And this is the American dog tick throughout the United States, but these are completely different than these. So I do know some of these are worse than others when it comes to tick bites. Let's do this here. I can't read that. Sorry. But those are the most. And then there's the lavia. These are really tiny. But around here, once it starts getting hot, these ticks will disappear. All right, so let's just wanted to. We were talking about that. Thought I'd bring that up. I know some of them are worse than others. All right, Carol's here. All right, let's go back to the Brian Walsh thing.
A quarter mile from the Walsh home. Investigators also discovered that the airline that Anna supposedly used, no record of her flying to or from D.C. Officer Gregory Lawrence was the first to interact with Walsh and updated the court on how the investigation.
Hey, Carol, good to see you. Always good to see Carol in the chat. Good to see everybody. It's called magnoplasm. They use it in hospitals. If you get a tick, use a leech, it will suck the tick toxins out. You have to be careful with my immune system so I don't muck around with ticks. Yeah, no, ticks are terrible. Operation Paperclip tick. Okay, if you guys want to have a good time, go check Farmer's lives out. He's just awesome. He's an awesome guy.
Investigation even got started.
Who did you meet there at that residence?
Brian Walsh.
Can you explain to me what happened when you got to the house that day?
I exited my cruiser and he met me at the doorway and said that he wanted to report his wife missing and file a police report with the Costa Police.
And what was his demeanor like when you saw him at the doorway?
Very calm.
Now, this initial interaction with Mr. Walsh, was it recorded?
No, it was not.
Why wasn't it recorded?
Costa Police did not have body-worn cameras at that time.
And so what had he told you he had done to try and locate his wife at this point in time?
He told me that he had tried texting her and he did contact his employer, her employer.
And what did he tell you as far as the last time he had seen his wife?
It would be Sunday morning, January 1st, 2023, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 7 a.m.
Did he say where she was going after that point?
She had a work emergency and had to go back to Washington, D.C.
Did he say how she was going to leave the home that day?
She was going to take either an Uber or a Lyft.
And head to where, sir?
Logan Airport.
Sergeant Harrison Schmidt was next to take the stand, and he explained that he was involved in coordinating a search for Anna and went to the Walsh home on the evening of January 4th to do an interview with Brian Walsh.
Okay, so let me just read this here. The black-legged tick, also known as the deer tick, is widely considered one of the most dangerous ticks due to, I'll share this. Hold on a second. Sorry to keep interrupting, but since we're on the subject here, hold on a second. All right. Show more. So the black-legged tick, also known as the deer tick, is widely considered one of the most dangerous ticks due to its ability to transmit Lyme disease and other illnesses. So there's other things you can get. However, the Lone Star tick can also be a significant concern, particularly for the risk of alpha-gal syndrome, a meat allergy. That's the one that Farmer was talking about. Additionally, dog ticks can carry Rocky Mountain spotted fever, a potentially deadly disease. So don't get that one. Lyme disease, anaplasmosis. Who said? Somebody said that in the chat. Other illnesses, risk factors. The black-legged tick is responsible for the majority of Lyme disease cases in the U.S. And let's see here. So the black-legged tick is usually probably the worst. Fever, fatigue, joint pain, severe cases, neurology, and cardiovascular vascular problems. And that's it. That's basically what you need to know. And this is this is where they're found. Eastern half of the United States. Borrelia, I can't about Wasm virus disease. That sounds bad. So don't get ticks. That's pretty much it. But the black-legged tick is probably the most prominent when it comes to Lyme's disease.
And at this point, this is still a missing persons case, okay? So Sergeant Schmidt told the court that he and another officer walked around the home with Walsh looking for anything that might point to how or why Anna had gone missing. And Sergeant Schmidt testified that while they didn't search the attic at the time, they did a search of the backyard pool, which the sergeant said was uncovered and full of water despite it being January. The fire department even helped shine spotlights into the pool. They even drained it, thinking maybe Anna had fallen in somehow, but they didn't find anything. So back to Sergeant Schmidt, he also noted something odd about a Volvo at the home.
What car did you look at?
There's a Volvo XC90.
And did you get any permission to look at that car?
Yes.
And who'd you get the permission from?
Mr. Walsh.
And what did you notice about the Volvo?
In the trunk, the trunk was lined with like plastic sheeting.
And so were you able to open it at this point in time?
Yes.
Okay. Now, sir, fast forwarding to January 5th, which was Thursday, what did you do to try and locate Miss Walsh that day?
I did a lot that day.
Let me just go back for a second.
I apologize.
There was I'll do this from time to time. There was a plastic sheet, you said, lining the rear area?
Yes.
Is it a trunk or is it more like an open area in the rear of an SUV?
The trunk area is a SUV with a hatch. So the trunk area, not the seating area.
Okay, thanks.
So not like a sedan though, which would have a separate distinct trunk. It has access to the seats.
Correct. The seats would fold down. You could go from the trunk into the.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Some people years ago, recently years ago, people, didn't know what they had. So, and it's not like every hospital is going to test you for Lyme disease, but you can get, Lyme, you can get ticks all the way up into the fall, winter time. It's not like they, I don't think they kind of like mosquitoes. They'll have a season to them. They're out all the time. Tic-tac-toe. Perfect. Farmer, you're awesome. Your lives are awesome.
Back row.
Okay.
So I'll call it a traditional SUV configuration.
Yes, Your Honor.
And we learned that during a later visit to the home, police searched.
Dirty Diana's got a great channel too. Everybody's got great channels. Let me know if Carol wants a wrench. I know if you have channels, or if you know people who have channels, feel free to throw them in the chat. It's always good. I don't mind promoting other people here, especially people who have good channels. Did I tell you, Dave? Did you put in the chemo port, right? Oh, you poor thing. That's gotta suck. Ugh. You poor thing, Heather. We got Heather's GoFundMe scrolling across the bottom, I think. I hope that's right. Carol needs a wrench. Okay. Didn't Tick Martindale host that game show? All right, I'll get you look like a monster. You don't look like a monster. Nobody could ever say that. I'm sure you look fine. We just want you to get better. That's all we care about. Let me play this and I'll get Carol a wrench here.
The attic, but they didn't find anything.
These homes down here are worth millions of dollars. Like this guy lived in a pretty good neighborhood down here.
Anything suspicious. Investigators also said that the plastic liner that was originally,
and he's a thief, literally,
noted as being in the rear of the SUV, that was now gone. Sergeant Schmidt told the court that investigators questioned Brian Walsh about whether Anna might have taken her own life or abandoned the family.
During that interview, what did he say that his normal contact would be with his wife, Anna Walsh, while she was working in Washington?
A daily contact.
During the interview, did you have the opportunity to ask him whether or not Anna was contemplating suicide?
Yes.
And what was his response to that?
She wouldn't do that.
What, if anything, did he say she was unhappy with?
Stress from work and distance.
And was he asked about extramarital affairs on either side?
Yes.
What did he say?
Neither.
Whoever else wants a wrench, let me know. I know that Who's Your Daddy's in here too, so let me know if you want a wrench. Who's Your Daddy? And like I said, if you have channels, know people who have channels, feel free to throw them in here. Right, that's enough for the wrench.
Of them had extramarital affairs.
Did you ask, or was he asked on whether or not, if they had an argument the morning she left January 1?
Yes.
What was his response?
There wouldn't have been enough time that morning.
What do you say the biggest argument they had recently was?
She had a 2 week vacation scheduled, and instead of coming home, she was in Belgrade visiting her mother.
Now, did he say what was causing stress?
Yeah, let me know, Hoosier, if you want one.
In their relationship at this point in time?
Yes.
What was causing stress?
The distance, being away from the children.
And in addition to the distance, were there any other stressors in the relationship?
Prior legal issues.
I'm debating on whether or not to cover this trial. I think I might.
So he told you that he had another criminal matter going on?
Yes.
That's right. Walsh was already up to his neck in legal issues, this time in federal court. Back in 2021, nearly 2 years before Anna was reported missing, Walsh had entered a guilty plea to multiple fraud charges for selling 2 fake Andy Warhol paintings. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Massachusetts, a buyer found a listing on eBay for 2 abstract Warhol paintings that were part of his Shadow series. And there was a photo of an invoice for the paintings with Warhol Foundation numbers and a purchase price of $240,000. The paintings were listed on eBay for $100,000. The buyer managed to get them $80,000. It's a steal. When he got the paintings, the buyer quickly
Listen to all these thousands that are being thrown around here.
figured out they were fakes. These are the real ones. These are the fakes. He tried to contact Walsh, who at first wouldn't respond, and then made excuses for why he couldn't refund the buyer's
What's the
money.
matter with Carol? Yeah, Rich Nay's good. Yeah. That's funny.
So after Walsh pleaded guilty as he awaited sentencing, he was on house arrest. He was only allowed to leave the house during certain times, had to notify federal authorities if he did so, and authorities were then able to track his phone if need be to make sure he was where he was supposed to be. But Walsh claimed in the early days after his son had hidden his phone, that he couldn't find it. So the authorities would just have to trust that he went where he said that he did, okay? And they didn't, uncovering evidence that Walsh allegedly lied about his whereabouts using things like store security video. But for the fraud case, Walsh was sentenced in 2024 to 37 months in prison for each count, ordered to pay $475,000 in restitution. But back to this evidentiary hearing, okay? I want to talk about this. So Sergeant Schmidt.
I don't know. I saw something up here talking about, I hope you feel better soon at Carol. So I gave Who's Your Daddy a wrench. Let me know if that worked.
Testified about this strange email that investigators received that was a purported ransom demand.
During this interview, did anyone ask him about the name Richard Walker?
Yes.
Who asked about Richard Walker?
Trooper DeChico.
And did he know Richard Walker?
No.
What was the significance to you at this point in time of the name Richard Walker?
I had received an email with a ransom request from an email address with the name Richard Walker.
And when had you received this email in relation to the interview that you were conducting with the defendant at this point in time on January 7th?
Before.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Sergeant, I'm showing you a copy of a document. Do you recognize that?
Yes,
Is that the email you received from with the name Richard Walker attached to it?
it is.
The Commonwealth would seek to have this
Little
marked
wrench
as the
club.
next exhibit. It's in the binder, Your Honor, and before I try to admit it twice, it's Exhibit 9.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're well. Sorry to hear about your brother that has that PC stuff. That's bad stuff too. Let's hope he gets better.
Thank you. Any objection?
No objection. Did you read the body of the email?
We have the so named Anna Walsh with us here. We had a deal worth $127,000. She messed up. We have her here with us, and if she doesn't pay the money, then she'll never be back. And we know that the police and the FBI are involved. Good luck finding us.
I may have that back, sir. Besides Trooper DeChico mentioning that name once, was there any further discussion of Richard Walker or the substance or even the substance of the email?
No.
Yeah, that's terrible. I hope things work out for that. Cancer does suck. Cancer is awful. Terrible.
According to police, they were suspicious of this ransom demand because it didn't mention anything about where to send the money or even a deadline to do it. Massachusetts State Police, they were also involved in the Walsh investigation. And you had Sergeant...
Is this real?
Sergeant Yuri Buchanik testified that he spoke with Walsh's mother, Diana, who said her son had looked into hiring a private investigator to find Anna. And the trooper also spoke with the eldest child, who was 6 at the time, about the last time he saw his mother.
What did the oldest child tell you about what he remembers of the last time he saw his mother, Anna Walsh?
What the child stated was that the last time he saw his mother was.
No, you got to be kidding me. $3,000 for the medication? That's got to suck. Oh. Ugh, that's terrible. Sorry to hear about that, Miss K. That's terrible. So I mentioned something to Dirty Diana yesterday morning about maybe doing, because it's amazing. I have 2 days off in a row here because I have, by the way, remembering all the fallen, right? Memorial Day. But I said something about maybe doing a live tomorrow night on her channel, or anybody's channel really, because I'll be off tomorrow night. So if you wanted to do something tomorrow night, that would work. Lucky to get it cheap. We get it that cheap. Really? It was more expensive than that? Oh, you're welcome, Carol. Good to see you here. Thank you very much for coming in. Never believe it won't happen to you. Words of wisdom. Just buried my mom several years ago. Oh, that sucks. Well, nothing's permanent yet, but it would probably be on Dirty Diana's channel. All right, let's go back to this.
Surrounded around the events of him.
I hope everybody gets better, for sure. You're welcome, Paula. Paula's amazing too. Paula's always emails me, "Are you going live tonight? What time are you going on?" Paula's an amazing person. She has a great channel too. She does great videos. She does awesome stuff. Yes, he only got it that cheap because he was a trial. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good news, right?
I'm hearing a noise, waking up, coming downstairs.
This is just my opinion. I think if they wanted to cure cancer, they probably could. That's just my opinion. It's hard to believe that they can't do that with the technology these days here. I think that if people put all their money and resources into finding a cure for cancer, they could probably do it. Oh, I don't know. Oh, you're down. Oh, well, we can't do that then. We'll think of something. That's just my opinion.
And seeing her on the couch underneath his blanket, which he left in the room overnight. She was dressed in a set of pink pajamas with red hearts. And as he was...
It's just hard to believe that a disease like that, with the technology they have these days, can be evaded. I don't get it. That's right. That's probably an accurate statement right there. Or, people just probably don't want to get along to find a cure because, yep. Let's ask Dave. I don't know.
Was walking by the kitchen island. He saw his iPad. He picked up the iPad, recognized it was malfunctioning or broken, not working properly. He requested that his mom, Anna, fix the iPad for him. Once she fixed the iPad, he indicated that Anna went upstairs and changed into her real clothes, returning back downstairs, holding a brown duffel bag, approximately 2 feet in length, and a purse, which he gestured to her wearing on her shoulder. He then stated that her taxi was here. He told her, "I love you." She responded, "I love you more." And she walked out the door to her ride. When asked if he saw the vehicle, saw the headlights for the vehicle, or saw her get into the vehicle, he stated he did not. Those are strictly his speculations. Obviously, he didn't use the word speculation, but.
And how did the conversation end with the oldest child?
I had a question for him asking, does he know where his mom, before I was able to finish that question, Diana became animated with her arms since he was sitting on her lap, flailing her arms in the air. I stopped abruptly, being interrupted by her gesture. She finished the question for me, stating cell phone. The child never answered my intended question, which was if he knew where his mom was, nor the question that Diana finished.
Chippy's awesome, man. It's classic. He sounds like Yuri Bukaki. Yeah, everybody up here sounds pretty much the same, but you can basically tell where in Massachusetts they come from by the difference in the accent.
He strictly said that mom wanted him to move to DC to be with her. He abruptly got up off of Diana's lap and ran into a different portion of the home.
And did you have any further conversation with the oldest child?
Yes, I did.
And what was that, sir?
At one point, a little bit later on, he returned to the area where myself and Detective Lopes was standing. He opened.
Sorry to hear that, Paula. It's a big one. Evil dude. Is Charles in here? Chuck's in here? Where's Chuck?
Opened the door slightly, just wide enough to the basement that he could fit through. He took a step onto the first step going down into the basement, looked back at me, extended his arm, and I told him that I shouldn't go into the basement on his own, realizing there were child locks on the door. Then Diana also opened the door all the way and grabbed his hand and told him not to go down there.
That is so chilling, given that police said they later discovered blood and a damaged knife down in the basement. And when the state called Lieutenant John Fanning to the stand, he testified about what a forensic examiner found in the internet search history on one of Walsh's devices.
He said, "I found something."
See, I don't know if they found a knife down there, but I don't know if they found anything actually on the knife. Yeah, I don't think Charles is here.
Something in the search history, and that's interesting. I said, well, what was it? And it was numerous searches about dismembering a body, how to embalm a body, how to get rid of a body, numerous searches related to that, another search related to divorce.
And so after he said he notified you of that, did he communicate to you and other troopers what he had found?
Yes.
How so?
He sent an email.
And as far as analyzing the iPad mini, what was your understanding as further analyzation of the iPad mini at this point in time?
We were going to stop.
And what was going to be done as far as the iPad mini after stopping?
We were going to
data we're talking about.
Yes, we had stopped, and we were going to obtain a search warrant to seize that device.
So after that, investigators got warrants for Walsh's home and had Walsh and the children go to Walsh's attorney's home while they searched.
On Sunday, January 8th with Attorney Minor?
I did.
When was that?
When we went to arrest Brian Walsh
And where was that?
at her residence.
And what was the contact you had with Attorney Minor at this point in time?
She met us right out front. She actually came out before we got to the door. And I asked where Brian was. She said in the house. I said, we need to go talk to Brian right now. And she said, well, he's not going to say anything. I said, that's fine, but we need to find him right away. We walked right in. Dining room was right off to the left. Brian Walsh was standing there. We placed him under arrest.
So the defense is arguing that this incriminating search history was discovered without a warrant, right? There's a constitutional violation. And investigators took 8 devices from the Walsh home, including iPhones, iPads. According to the warrant, the forensic searches of those devices had to be limited to communications between December 25th, 2022 and January 6th, 2023, a key time period. And communications, not searches for other online activity. That's the key here. And the defense, they questioned the lieutenant about the issue of consent to search.
You're good here, Shibby.
You are familiar with Massachusetts State Police consent to search forms, correct?
Yes.
And you didn't use one or try to use one or attempt to fill one out before you took the items, the devices, for Mr. Walsh that day on January 6th?
No, we were working together cooperatively to find Anna Walsh, and I was happy that we were working together.
No, but I understand your answer, but you didn't use a consent to search.
There was already an agreement. So I think it wouldn't have made sense after just talking to Attorney Minor, talking to Sergeant Buchanan, an agreement in writing to then show up with a consent form. I think Attorney Minor would have had a problem with that.
Well, you think that, but my question is simple. You used those consent to search forms. You did not use one in this case.
That's correct.
And those consent to search forms, without belaboring the point, they're used to make sure that what you do when it's looked at later on, that there's evidence that there was in fact a voluntary consent and that whatever parameters of any search that was going to be conducted would be followed, that the person giving consent understood that.
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you, Jim.
Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. Lieutenant, you were asked a question about one of your police reports concerning whether or not you had mentioned that the son might have used the iPad for the police report.
Yes.
Do you have a memory of that paragraph where you mentioned?
Okay, Diana. Good luck with that, for sure.
Mentioned that you were asked about as far as the son using the iPad.
You guys are confusing me. I'm sorry. Do I have
We're right there with you.
Do I have a memory of the paragraph? Is the one I just read?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what you mentioned as far as the son using the iPad in that report? Would the report help you out?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you the report, which has a number of 2003-112-4/116. I want you to take a look at the third paragraph, specifically the second sentence. Go to the third.
Got it.
All right. Lieutenant, did you write in the report whether or not the son used the iPad?
I did.
And then you go to day 2 of the hearing, and you had Trooper Nicholas Guarino, the forensic investigator that the lieutenant was talking about, explained what he collected.
So you said a search warrant for the home. Were you present for a search warrant of the Walsh home in Cohasset?
Yes, I was.
And when was that, sir?
Sunday, January 8th in the morning.
And what was seized from the home as far as devices that morning?
There was 3 MacBooks, the iPhone 13 mini, the iPad 6 mini, the iPad 6 with the cracked screen, another iPad that I don't remember the exact number of, and an iPhone SE.
And Trooper Guarino confirmed that he knew the date range in which he could search, but said that communications could include things like web chats that use a browser. During his examination of those details in the extraction, he realized that some of the items in the search history were suspicious.
So once it opened in Cellbrite, would have looked at the timeline view. So I loaded timeline and filtered by the date range that was given.
Now, why do you use the timeline view?
Multiple reasons. It's the easiest way to pare down the data by date range, and it gives a comprehensive list of how the devices interacted from the 25th to the 6th, as told.
And what did you begin to notice while you were going through this data and the timeline range?
So it has every device interaction, what's been done with it. Started seeing searches on the 27th of December for best places to get divorced, worst places to get divorced, best states for divorce.
And after the 27th, did you notice anything further that caught your attention when you were analyzing the data from this device?
Yes. The morning of the 1st, approximately about 4:55 a.m., began seeing searches of how to dispose of a body.
And
hold on a second here.
Yes. The morning of the 1st, approximately about 4:55 a.m., began seeing searches of how to dispose of a body.
And after starting to see these searches, what did you do?
So I went through the information, the data, probably up to about the 2nd, and I saw numerous searches about body disposal, removal of smell, acid dump, cadaver dogs at the dump, and I contacted, I went downstairs and contacted Trooper Keefe to tell him what I had found search-wise.
Now, to be clear, at the time of this recording, the judge hasn't made a ruling yet on whether those internet searches will come in at trial, which for now is currently scheduled to start October 20th. But I'll tell you this much. Yes, Brian Walsh is innocent until proven guilty, but for his defense's sake, they need to make sure the jury never sees those searches, because you and I both know for criminal defendants, when those searches come in at trial, not great. But that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar.
Well, they also have a lot of him, just the whole GPS coordinates that they had after the crime. But I think if the defense was smart, they'd go after the fact that I think she was she was very beautiful. I think she was having an affair too, so I would go after that. If I was the defense, that's the defense I'd be going after. All right, so let's go here. We're going to go to this here because somebody suggested this case to me last week, but we saw this on. Hold on a second here. On one of the missing person case thing we did last week, and this case came up. So I just kind of wanted to go over this case here too. This is the disappearance of Kyron Horman, and I hope I'm saying that right. So hold on one second while I pull everything up. And we'll play this here, and then we'll read into this a little bit. Hopefully I can get a deep dive on this at some point, but let's watch this here, and then we'll go on from there. So this is about a 7-year-old vanished after stepmom dropped him off at school. This is the Kyron Horman story. A mother's greatest fear came true on January 4th, 2010. So this is a really old case. When her 7-year-old son disappeared without a trace, Kyron Richard Horman's stepmom said she dropped him off at his Oregon elementary school, but Kyron didn't make it to his first class of the day. Investigators immediately launched an extensive search for Kyron, recruiting over 300 trained rescuers and 1,300 volunteers to search for the missing boy for 10 days. I just don't know how I don't know about this case. It's just weird. Kyron's mother, Desiree Young, sits down for an in-depth interview with a cold case advocate. And this was done a long time ago. This was done September 29, 2024. An advocate and recovery expert, Doug Bishop, to tell the story. So we're going to go over this here. And obviously, everybody's done something on this case. I just don't understand how I don't know about it. Okay. Let's do this here.
The area around Skyline Elementary looking for Kyron Horman.
And still, no sign. I would give anything to go back in time and pull him out of that moment, protect him, and be there. And I can't undo that.
Billions. Billions and billions.
Chapter 1, Innocence Lost. Tell me a little bit about Kyron.
Kyron is a very shy, super funny, very compassionate and loving child. Kyron is super intelligent. You don't realize he's in a room and he's paying attention and taking it all in. And then he'll pop off with some really complicated word. And you just are like, where in the world did you get that? And, oh, he picked it up from someone somewhere, you know, and he just is that kid that you love being around. I have an older son, and those two would feed off of each other. And it's just hilarious to watch them because Quinn would just look at him with this face, all super serious. And then Kyron would start cracking up and they would just go with it, you know, and it was like a comedy act. And on the weekends, it was all about family time. We just would hang around the house, or he would ride his bike, and we'd go for walks around the neighborhood. We know all of our neighbors. We're super close with our neighbors. That's the people that we are. We look out for each other. We've always been that way. We have a tight group, a trusted group. Like, our life had structure and boundaries, and you just wouldn't expect this to happen. You just wouldn't ever expect it. It's hard.
Are you the one that recommended this case, Miss K? Because I just can't believe I haven't heard of this. Yeah, this kid's extremely cute. Because people are freaking animals, man. It's the way it is. If you guys get a oh, there's no such thing as anybody better than Shibby here. That's a classic. Oh, you poor thing, Barbara. It's always good to see you, Miss Barbara. You're always welcome here. I hope you're okay. I know you're not. But you're always welcome here. We love having you here. Always thinking about you for sure. Okay, so yes, okay, so it was you. Yes, we love you, Miss Barb. We hope you have a great week. Memorial Day is Monday, and Memorial Day is always one of those days for me. It's like one of those It's one of those holidays, you know. All right, so especially if people have lost people, it just it's one of those things. All right, so let's get back to this here. Actually, hold on a second. Since we're in a pause here. So this is a Skyline school here, kindergarten through 8th grade. Assuming that's what that means. And this is way the hell up here. This is almost by Vancouver here. This is almost due east of Vancouver. So this is yeah, this is far. So this is it. This is the school here. There's some woods here. I don't know what this is. Maybe a track field, maybe. I don't know. There's only really one way in and out of this school, though. There's this Skyline Boulevard here. I don't know if I want to show pictures of the school. Actually, I can. Hold on a second. Go for a little ride here. So this is the main road here. So this is Northwest Skyline Boulevard here. (2010), right? What's this here? This is anyways, I'll go back to this, but that's the school there. So this must be an apartment house here, or a house. All right, so let's go back to this here. June 10th. Thank you. Miss K is good. Going good. Good night. Who's your daddy? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Who else is leaving? We hope you have a good week. Thank you so much for coming in. Hope you like the wrench. But I didn't live here yet when he disappeared. Okay. Yeah, holidays do stink. That's why I say holidays are not the same for everybody. Sometimes holidays are, great, right? But sometimes holidays are not so great. All right, so let's go back to this here.
For me to know that aspect of our lives and to know.
So who's this? This is the mom. Is this the mom or is this the stepmom?
Know that he went missing.
Skyline second grader Kyron Horman did not arrive home from school today.
Kyron!
Kyron, we miss you, we love you, and we need you home right now.
Chapter 2, Mask of Deceit.
I found out about her from.
Okay, so here. Sorry to keep going in and out of this, but like I said, I'm just walking into this case. So, she ain't the step mom no more, or so mom. She's the mom, right? Okay, so. We read this last week here. His remains whereabouts unknown. So he was born in September 2002 to Desiree Young. So that's the mom, and Kane Horman, an engineer for Intel. The couple got divorced months into Young's pregnancy with Kyron. So they got divorced while she was pregnant. Irreconcilable differences. The two had been granted shared custody until 2004, but when Young was diagnosed with kidney failure, so when the mom was diagnosed with kidney failure, extensive medical intervention, Kane took over full custody. Notwithstanding this fact, Young still remained inactive. So, okay. In 2007, Kane married Terry Moulton. So that's the stepmother. Terry Moulton must be the stepmother. She's a substitute teacher, originally from Rosberg. Romantically involved with Moulton around 2001 when he and Young were in the midst of divorcing. They married in 2007 while visiting Hawaii. Moulton gave birth to a daughter, Kiara. Meanwhile, Kyron was a student at the Scout Gate. So that's the background on that. So this is the last known photograph during his school science fair on June 4th, 2010. He disappeared within an hour of said photo being taken. Really? Oh, that's weird. All right, let's go back to this here. That's weird. I might have to do two on this here.
My best friend. She made him call me on July 15, 2002 at 4 a.m. I was pregnant and Kane had cheated on me. Apparently he said something by mistake. He was cheating on me for a while, that he cheated on me before, prior to that, that this person was a teacher that he knew of. She had red hair. And so I did something that I had never done in my life, and I spied on him. That was how I realized that my life was not really what I thought. In January, after I had moved out, she was waiting around the corner with her stuff, and she moved in right away. The day that I figured out who she was, we get an invite in Quinn's backpack for a birthday party. And when I looked at it, I recognized the handwriting. I hadn't met Terry until Kyron was, I think it was 1. And I hear Quinn hop out of the car and say, "Hi, Terry."
It's a Friday.
And that was when I realized she was walking up to us. That was the first time that I met her. I was careful. I didn't.
That was a Friday. So June 4th, 2010 was a Friday. Right? Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with this chat too. So how can we do trivia tomorrow night? I'm sure we can figure it out. Saskatchewan. Yeah, in the morning when he was dropped off at school but didn't make it to his first class. Well, then where is this photograph taken? Because it says the last known photograph taken of Kyron Horman during his school science fair on June. So there was a science fair on June 4th, 2010. He disappeared within an hour. So let's go. Hold on. Okay, so I'll go back to this year.
Didn't say a word to her. She offered her hand to me and I ignored her. So I was holding back a lot of anger over the years and all hurt that I had endured because I wanted to be a good person in front of my boys. We could stand next to each other at soccer events, track, cross country. We supported the boys. I have stood there.
Yeah, so June the 4th. June the 4th was a Friday. That's all right. That's north of you guys. I'm in Providence. Province of Ontario, 15-minute west of Toronto. Lake Ontario. I've been there. People talk really French there. No, it's all good. Like I said, I'm just trying to get speed on this case because I don't know anything about this case. I don't know how that's possible.
And stuffed back all the feelings that I've ever had because it was important for my kids to learn from this.
So she's saying that the husband, whoever he was, the father was cheating on her with this school teacher here.
That we were going to co-parent together, as painful as some of it was. You know, we went forward. Life happened.
That was a good movie.
We were, I think, as successful as you can be in a co-parenting relationship. You know, we were always at sporting events all together. I drove for.
Oh, I'm sorry, Canadian. Saskatoon. Huh. Okay, so he was cheating on her.
For hours in the middle of the night to make sure I was there for my boys. It was very challenging, but we made it work. I did have significant medical problems, and that was when I didn't have custody, although I had custody in the very beginning. But I can't control that, unfortunately. So that was where we were at, you know, in 2010. We're making it work. And Quinn was 15 when Kyron went missing.
Chapter 3, The Vanishing.
I was at home in Southern Oregon, actually going to work, but I did talk with Kyron. He was nervous, and I was just trying to reassure him. Kane told me he ended up not going to the science fair. He had a meeting, I guess. He had sent Terry with Kyron. Kyron normally rides the bus to school, but the presentation and the diorama was going to be exhibited to the entire school.
Okay.
So
you guys are so awesome. I want to thank everybody for being here. You guys are great. Heather, Miss Kay, Jocelyn, Sweet Dude, Shibby, everybody. You guys are great. Jocelyn's still in here. It's June the 4th. Okay. Peggy's still here. Good to see Peggy. Paula Fitzhenry's still here. Thank you, Paula.
everybody's walking through the classrooms and looking at all of the exhibits.
Okay.
7-year-old Kyron Horman disappeared from Skyline Elementary School.
He was wearing a black CSI t-shirt, black cargo pants.
Give me 2 seconds here.
And looking at all of the exhibits.
Okay.
7-year-old Kyron Horman disappeared from Skyline Elementary School.
He was wearing a black.
Each 7 missing. June 4th, because that's seen wearing 50 pounds.
CSI t-shirt.
50 pounds. Is that thin? Is that thin? 7 years old, 50 pounds.
Black cargo pants.
Kyron was last seen by his stepmother, Terry Horman, who dropped him off at Skyline Elementary. No one has been charged in his disappearance.
That night when they interviewed us, they came to me and Tony in the
Oh, it's
house,
perfect.
and I believe that they were working.
That's like perfect. That's 51 pounds to that's pretty good. That's almost perfect. It's average weight for a 7-year-old boy is about 51 pounds. So that's between 40 and 72 actually. So that's probably like a high percentile right there. All right, so let's go here.
Through ruling us out. They had to alibi us, had to get. So by about
Farmer's taking off. Is Farmer leaving? Farmer, you're awesome. About to hit it, brother. Pizza's done, and I'm whooped after rocking out with the youngers. You're awesome. Farmer's a good guy. If anybody wants to go join his channel, he's awesome. He's just great. Does a lot of good lives. Awesome person. So Farmer's always welcome in here, period. All right, so have a good week, buddy. Stay safe. Love it here. It helps the night pass. I usually am really good at putting people to sleep on my lives. It's like I have that niche, you know, like the forest of Samsquashian, where Dino's family was raised. Dino. Where is Dino? God, I'm beginning to believe he doesn't like me. Or is probably just throwing his phone at the wall. No problem, Farmer. You're awesome. Wolf it down and pass it out, right? Farmer's awesome. Got great lives. Dirty Diana's got great lives too. Very, very entertaining stuff. All right, so kid though.
about 3 in the morning, they came to us and asked us to go to the school.
So that's the door, front door. I hate these types of I always hate these types of entrances because they're not like you know how they're recessed in here like this here. You put all these stupid trees around. It's just
And I thought, oh, they must have cleared us, right? I remember it was one of the most difficult situations because I started to walk into the school and I saw all the exhibits in the hallway still. And I thought it was going to throw up and I couldn't walk. And thank God Tony was holding me up. It was one of the moments where I realized, oh my God, this is happening. And then I looked up and I saw Ben Kiefer, the principal, coming toward us. I don't recall what Ben said to me. I just know that he came up to me and offered his hand, and there was a team of law enforcement there. And I remember not knowing who they were.
nothing's better than putting people to sleep than a Major League Baseball game, especially a National League game. Were the YouTube videos? If so, I really don't get why they do that. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, they it's really dumb, in my opinion, why they strike people like that. But it's all about money, man. It's just they're losing a lot of money with people not playing their shit. That's just my opinion.
They were necessarily. They were clearly not people I had already met at the house, but they had asked me to come into an office so that I could be interviewed. They separated me and Tony, of course, and a team went with Tony, a team went with me. I remember sitting across a round table from a couple of individuals. I believe one was with the FBI.
See, here's the thing, right? You're a parent, right? And you gotta be because in these situations they will gruel the parents, right? Like and you just want to find your kid, right? And I understand why they do stuff like that, but the parents are usually the first one, especially the father.
And I believe one was with Multnomah County. I remember just really struggling to try and think who in the world could possibly do this. You know, they asked me the usual questions.
So okay, so let's go to the disappearance here. On July 4th, 2010, Kyron was taken to Skyline Elementary School by his stepmother. So the stepmother brought him there, who then stayed with him while he attended the science fair. Terry Horman stated that she left the school at around 8:45 a.m. When does school start? School starts at 8, right? Or 8:30, somewhere around there. And that she last remembered seeing Kyron walking down the hall to his class. However, Kyron was never seen in his first class and was instead marked as absent that day. How is this even possible? Terry Horman stated that she left the school at around 8:45 and that she last remembered seeing Kyron walking down the hall to his class. However, Kyron was never seen in his first class and was instead marked as absent that day. Terry's statements to the police indicate that after leaving the school at 8:45 a.m., she ran errands at two different grocery stores until about 10 a.m. What do they had cameras there at the school, do you think? That's bizarre. Odd.
They had me go through everywhere I had been that day. You know, I said, you can have everything. Like, if you need to go through our house, if you need my computer, my phone, you can have everything. We were talking and they asked, do you know anybody who could do this to Kyron? Who would take Kyron? And I said, I honestly don't know. I offered up everything I could possibly think of. I actually thought of all the evil in the world first. And they asked, you know, if I knew where Kyron was. And I said, God, I wish I knew. I would give anything to go back in time and pull him out of that moment and protect him and be there. And I can't undo that. And I can't undo that. Undo that.
Yes, I want to follow that one too. Don't mind me if I'm just picking on and everything I can find at the moment, but still here. Okay, good. That's good, right? Yes, I want to try to start following this one too. Maybe we'll check that out on the way out the door here. Very sketchy. I don't understand how a child can go down a hall and just disappear like that.
Chapter 4, Searching.
The second it's too quiet, the second that I feel like it's not working in our favor, we're not helping Kyron, there's nothing happening, then I'm going to do something to force the issue, right? And that's what I've done over the years. I'll do a search, and I have always been completely transparent whenever I've done a search. We have always turned over all evidence. I am very careful about the way I run searches, and I always have the proper technology, the people that are certified in Multnomah County doing the searching. I have dog teams that are brought in from all over the U.S. who are trustworthy and can do the job, and I know that the dog teams are reliable. I don't ever run it half-assed. I would never do that. I would never want to compromise Kyron's case. I have done a search every year with the exception of the last couple, and it's been a long journey. I have, over the years, helped families of missing children. I've been a resource for parents when their child goes missing and in those first moments. The thing I'm most passionate about and connected to is working with the Department of Justice and the training facility, the national training facility for training law enforcement on CART teams, child abduction response teams. I speak to law enforcement about the family perspective, the best practices, protocols we need to follow in cases like this. I feel like I make more of an impact when I can make that change in how we help the families, how we investigate these cases. How do we do it right? How do we improve on what we've done wrong? But I think that I have that impact and I can make change. I can hopefully be heard in a different way. I think it's really, really important to improve on everything that we do, or we're not going to ever bring our kids home.
Chapter 5, Shadows of Discord.
Okay, so I'm just going to read this here. Ran errands at two different grocery stores until 10:10. They must have receipts for that between then and 11:39. She said she was driving her daughter around town in an attempt to use the motion of the vehicle to soothe the toddler's earache. So she had another child at the time, right? Terry said that she then went to a local gym and exercised until about 12:40 with the toddler. At 3:30, Terry and her husband Kane walked with their daughter Kara to the bus stop to meet Kyron. The bus driver told them the boy had not boarded the bus. And to call, that's got to be the most freaking out period ever. And to call the school to ask about his whereabouts. Terry Horman stated that she left the school at around 8:45 a.m. and that she last remembered seeing Kyron walking down the hall to his class. Where'd he go? Where did he go, right? All right, hold on a second.
And from what I understand, their house was very divided at the time when Kyron went missing. Kyron was struggling. He didn't want to go back. He would cry and cry and cry and didn't want me to take him back. We realized that he...
Time garage is awesome. Yeah, isn't that weird?
He was wetting the bed. I didn't know why that was. He couldn't articulate.
Okay, so how do we know that he dropped the kid off? Did anybody else see him? So Terry Horman stated she left the school at around 8:45, and she last remembered seeing Kyron walking down the hall to his class. Did anybody else see? Do you think anybody else saw him?
Articulate what the problem was to me, but there was problems clearly, and it finally came to a head where I wasn't going to take him back. I couldn't do it, and I want to protect my child. There's clearly something going on, and I called Kane and I told him I wasn't bringing him home, and Kane said, "Yes, you are. That this is not an option." And I said, "I'm taking custody back." He said, "It's not an option," and he said, "You will bring him home." And I said, "I'm not telling him that anymore. This has been going for far too long. There's clearly something happening." And I gave the phone to Kyron, and I normally do not act that way, but
Did anybody? I wonder if anybody else saw him in the school. Of course, it's that's a problem I have with public schools. It's like it's a freaking free for all. Like even nowadays, you get there. Clusterfuck people order, or like it's just chaos sometimes. It's just really weird.
I did not want to be that person.
Yeah.
So he had to be the bad.
Usually there's somebody standing watching, whether it's a parent, a teacher, or like, you know, how you walk. Usually you walk into schools, there's the office right there. So I'm just wondering if anybody saw him actually there other than stepmom.
I got to tell Kyron that he had to come home. And Terry was calling me sometimes in the middle of the night in that year. She wanted me to take Kyron. She asked me on several occasions.
You know, that's a good question too. Is it possible that someone at the school kidnapped him, could have tied him up in a closet? I went to a public school. Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I just want to know if anybody else saw him, because maybe he didn't even make it there. Kind of like the Madeline Soto case, right? Like, you know, the stepfather said, or not the stepfather, but the piece of shit there said that he dropped her off. But he never actually dropped her off, right? We know that now.
One day I was running errands.
I mean, how do we even know he got to the school? Right?
And she called, and I could hear Kyron in the background crying. And I said, "What's going on?" She said, "I want you to come and get him." Okay, I'm getting in the car. I'm coming. And I get in the car, and I'm calling Kane at the same time. Said, "Something's going on. I'm going to get Kyron." "No, you're not. That's not an option." And I'll be honest, Kane probably didn't handle it the right way. Kyron was clearly having issues. Another thing that I was seeing in the year leading up to Kyron going missing, I'm horrified because Kyron was almost grounded for Christmas. And I actually
See this here, like this is she stated that she was driving her daughter around town in an attempt to use the motion of the vehicle to soothe the toddler's earache, right?
had my child sit down and write a letter to Santa apologizing for his bad behavior when he didn't have bad behavior.
Chapter 6, Truth Unveiled.
Terry ended up taking Kane's truck that day. She needed it so that she could pick up the science fair exhibit after it was done. That's unusual.
They arrested somebody. Hold on here. It was one second. Friend told me they arrested someone about 5 days before we watched it here. So they've arrested somebody? I don't know. I don't know. That's weird. I'm assuming that the school has. Oh, they arrested somebody already? I'll have to look into that. Okay, so they're good. Oh, good.
Usual. The science fair exhibits were supposed to remain up until Monday. She arrived around 8:15. Ms. Porter arrived around 8:25. So there was a period of time where Terry and Kyron were in the school without other parents, but there was administrative support staff already there, and that's how we know when she got there. Terry proceeded to take Kyron around to the classrooms. She went to 3 classrooms with Kyron. We know that she walked up through the East End stairwell. The story that Terry tells coming up that stairwell is that she walked him up to the main hallway, didn't walk him all the way to Miss Porter's class at the very end of that hallway. That she waved to him from the top of those stairs. It's significant because if she was standing at the top of those stairs, there's no way she would even be able to see Kyron. She would see a wall. Yeah. The other caveat is the picture. So the real timeline that we know, absolutely witnessed by everybody on GPS with the camera, is that she came up that stairwell, walked Kyron all the way to Miss Porter's classroom, took pictures of him and his 2 friends in front of the diorama, time-stamped, 8:45, right before she walks out the side doors with Kyron. That also is witnessed by Kyron's bus driver. She happened to be sitting in her bus and saw Terry and Kyron come out of the school with Kiara. And his other friend and grandma and sister are outside the school and see Kyron leaving with Terry. So we know that Terry went from.
I mean, that would be awesome. That would be great. Obviously, they're keeping it hush because I haven't seen anything. But that would be great. That'd be awesome.
The school, and we know that she went to 2 Fred Meyers. She claims that she was there to buy cold medicine for Kiara, supposedly. Well, that's the funny thing is Kiara was not sick at the time that Kyron went missing. She was sick a couple weeks earlier. She had actually taken antibiotics and by that point was fine. She claimed that the first Fred Meyer didn't have it and that she went to the second Fred Meyer. So she's seen pulling into the second Fred Meyer, pulling into the parking lot. She's on video surveillance. Kyron is nowhere to be seen in the video surveillance, although Kyron is the type of child, if you told him to stay in the car, he would absolutely listen to you. From that moment, Terry is missing, although seen by witnesses in various side roads off of the Skyline area. She's seen pulled over on the side of the road.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what the protocol is. I've tried to ask so many times. I know that there should be a phone call for sure.
Phone is out of signal for a significant period of time. Her phone pings at 11 a.m.
That's the other problem is the signal, the service. We get a new prosecutor. We got a new prosecutor. Who? Yeah, Canada's a little different. I would that would be something that I would be promoting, that if somebody if kids don't show up for school, at least contact the parents, right? That would be something I would do.
Driving down
I'm not a big fan of public schools. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's just my opinion. I just I don't like public schools at all. Period.
on Highway 30. She's seen checking Kiara in there at the gym. She was seen walking around talking to people she did not know significantly, but showing them the photo of Kyron. She had injured her leg, and the person noted that Terry indicated it was because she dropped a weight on her leg, down her shin, but the person said it was not that kind of injury. It was like she scraped it on something uneven and jagged. And it was odd because she did not work out. Not once.
How long was she at the gym?
A total of about 15 to 18 minutes.
What?
Yeah. She didn't work out. She has several interviews in the first several days, right?
Okay.
And so the first timeline she's giving doesn't have that in there.
Okay.
So they're wondering, where is she between, these times? So at first, the timeline is very sparse because she hasn't thought it through. She hasn't figured out where she was. She can't account for that time.
Okay.
I believe it was Monday. I'm in the house and she was on her computer and I asked her what she was doing. And she's like, she was defensive and didn't want me looking at her computer. And she's like, you just need to mind your own business. And I said, okay. I just was asking what you were doing. Well, they're trying to get my timeline of where I was. Okay. So
let me guess. There's like a couple of minutes of teaching and then hockey, or does it go hockey first, teaching, and then hockey? Just I'm just being funny.
she was typing up her timeline. I can tell you to this day, 13 years later, every single place I went to that day, and I know because that was the day the world came out from under me. I know what I ate for goddamn lunch. I can tell you everything I did that day, and she can't figure out where she was or what she did. It took me a while before I offered Terry up. It was awkward. The more time that went on, the more my feelings couldn't be concealed. It was really uncomfortable to be there with her and watch her behavior, where she wasn't sad. She wasn't doing all of that stuff. She was going out of her way to lead a normal life, so to speak. She was getting her hair done. She was going to the gym. She was doing all this stuff, and I could barely function.
Okay, so I do want to switch here to a different. This, like I said, this one was done basically last September. So I do want to go. Hold on a second. I want to switch to this one here. Hockey, French, math, English, history, French, hockey. All you can eat pancakes with maple syrup. That actually sounds pretty good right about now. All right, let's watch this one here. This was done, I think this was done a couple weeks ago. Kyron Horman, investigators renew effort to find missing Portland boy 15 years after disappearance. It's been nearly 15 years. On Friday, Multnomah County Sheriff's Office said it's renewing efforts today towards pursuing justice in the case and will work with other agencies. So they must have called the FBI in on this.
And Desiree and her friends and the thousands of people on Facebook pages, thousands who keep, Kyron in their lives.
Now at 5, a renewed effort to find Kyron Horman. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office taking new steps to finally bring a resolution to the case. Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Reich Yazaway. This comes nearly 15 years since the young boy vanished. K2 Shelby Slaughter has been tracking the case closely. And Shelby, you just spoke to that author about her work on this case.
Yeah, right. I was actually just texting her and Kyron's mom, and it's efforts and updates just like this that give renewed hope for the case and hope that we will soon find Kyron. This is the last known picture of Kyron Horman, seen in this exact outfit at Skyline Elementary School. Hundreds of family members had come to see the science fair that day.
There was no kind of check-in system for people coming into the school. It was just wide open, which means it was really an opportunity for somebody to take a child.
Rebecca Morris is the author of.
It's always good to see Louise Cuevas in here too. It's the same Zeke that claims to be related to Ron Logan. Wasn't Ron Logan in here earlier? I know Charlie Manson was.
Boy missing. She tells me there were hundreds of people in and out of the school that day, and no one knew Kyron was missing until he didn't come home.
At 3:30 that afternoon, Terry and the baby and Kane walked down to the bus stop to meet Kyron, and he had not been on the bus.
Now, 15 years later, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office still.
What was the case? Was that Stouch? That's the other case. Letitia Stouch? Was that Stouch? Wasn't it kind of similar situation where, Letitia Stouch. She was the stepmom, right? And I'm not trying to interject anything that she had anything to do with this, but very similar, maybe.
Has not been able to find him or make an arrest.
It would be nice to have some kind of update.
I just want to know if anybody saw him at the school, because that would be interesting.
And I know they call it an open case.
Today, investigators announcing a renewed effort to find justice, saying they're working to digitize and reorganize the entire case. That means scanning and documenting thousands of pages of reports, photos, and evidence, and using new software, digital forensics, and technology to examine both new and.
Who, Paula? Letitia? Oh. There was an eyewitness at the school? So there was somebody that saw him. Okay. That was Colorado, I think, right?
Existing leads. Multnomah County Sheriff Nicole Morrissey O'Donnell releasing this statement saying, quote, "We have never stopped searching for Kyron. We remain steadfast in our commitment to bring resolution to this case for Kyron, for his family, and for the community. With the support of our partners and the public, we are actively pursuing every credible investigative opportunity." There is a 50,000 information leading to a resolution in this case. Reporting live in Portland, I'm Shelby Slaughter, K2 News.
Shelby, thanks for that. Kyron Horman was last seen at Skyline Elementary School on June 4th, 2010. At the time, he was 7 years old.
Kyron Mormon's mom. According to True Crime Garage reporting, I looked at the transcript for you. Okay, bus drive grandma of friend saw him leave with stepmom. Leave the school or leave what I want to know is if anybody saw him, because she said, the stepmom said she saw him walking down the hall to his class. But did anybody else see him at the school? That would be my first question. Who's Paula Kyron's mom? Oh, who Paula Kyron's mom? Letitia. Letitia was the stepmom to Gannon, right? Was it Gannon? Bus driver and friend's grandma saw the stepmom leave with the boy.
Investigators have.
So this is an age progression thing here. Age 7, age 11 to 12. They do this now. This age progression thing. This is pretty much. I think they do this through DNA, phenotyping or something like that. 19 through 20. Good looking kid.
Have released age progression photos over the years showing what he might look like today. They say every year they receive hundreds of tips that are reviewed and considered for follow-up. Kyron's family will hold a vigil next month to mark 15 years since he disappeared.
He was a nutbag. That whole Letitia Stouch case, she was a nutbag. She's crazy. How long has he been missing? 2010.
It will be held at Skyline Elementary School on June 1st, starting at 7 p.m. They invite the community to attend. Also, stay with K2 News as we are.
Hey everyone, it's Shelby Sauter here with K2 News, coming on to talk to you about the Kyron Horman case.
This was done 2 weeks ago. So this is 15 years since. So
this is the second time this week we have new details to share. As you heard earlier this week, the Multnomah County District Attorney says he's taking a fresh look at the case. And now the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office and the FBI says that they are doing the same thing. Here's a look at what the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office believes Kyron looks like today. They tell us that the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office in
I'm just saying it could be fairly similar to that case because she was claiming that she had nothing to do with it too. In the Letitia Stouch case.
Russian police detectives are working to digitize and reorganize this case. This means that they're scanning documents, pictures, thousands of pieces of evidence to try and find Kyron Horman. We have all of the details up right now on K2 News, where you can read about Nathan Vasquez and what he has to say, what the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office has to say, and this is all ahead of K2 News' special airing on June 4th, where we take a deep dive into the case. I've spoken with Kyron's parents. I've spoken with former investigators on the case. We are looking at every possible angle as we come up on 15 years.
Ooh. All right, so I just want to move on. I wanted to cover that. I may do another episode of that next week. Like I said, this is the first time catching this case because for some reason, I don't know anything about this case, which is, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I don't know everything about every case, but it's weird that I wouldn't know about this one here. Okay, let's go to this case here. I don't know if you guys have been following this case here too, but this, hold on. 2 seconds here. All right, so this is going on this week too. This is the tortured business partner case. This was done a day ago. Several crypto bros living in a Soho brownstone allegedly turned into a house of horrors by luring former business partner who had a falling out with them back from Italy with false business promises and then kidnapped and tortured him for weeks. Investigators now believe, so I don't know if anybody's heard about this here, but this is pretty awful. This is what happens. Okay, so here we go.
And claims cryptocurrency entrepreneur in Soho. And good evening to you. At 6 o'clock, I'm Liz Cho.
And I'm Bill Ritter. We're going to begin that breaking news. The NYPD tonight questioning that cryptocurrency entrepreneur about what happened in his $75,000 a month apartment. A man from Italy claims he was tied up and tortured for 2 weeks by the entrepreneur.
Horman was investigated for M4H plots 3 times before Kyron disappeared. She allegedly hired an ex-con to unalive a boyfriend before moving to Portland and tried to hire 2 men. So the mom, the actual mom hired an ex-con to, she's weird too. Big fish, small ponds here. Hey, big fish, good to see you. Yeah, Letitia's, she's just incessant. That all of those interviews with the cops and stuff like that. It was just, that was his mom seeing him walking down the hall. That was the mom? I thought that was the stepmom. So according to Wikipedia here, it says on June 4th, 2010, Kyron was taken to Skyline Elementary School by his stepmother, Terry Horman Bolton, who then stayed with him while he attended a science fair. Okay, so Terry stated she left the school at around 8:45 a.m. Okay. Stepmom, right. Okay, so let's go to this here.
He says he managed to escape. And tonight we are learning new information about what happened and what police say. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger is live in Soho with the breaking news. Josh.
Liz, you don't hear something like this every day, and every new detail we hear is more disturbing than the one before. In the brownstone behind me, cops say they've uncovered a sadistic torture ring led by a group of crypto bros who sources say tied up their victim, tortured him with electrical current, pistol whipped him, and then fired up a chainsaw and threatened to cut off his limbs, all to have access to his fortune.
Sounds like a Friday night party to me, man. That's
in cryptocurrency. At an opulent brownstone on Prince Street, a most unusual sight. Police emerged with a handcuffed man in a bathrobe who stood in the rain barefoot as they patted him down and tried to make sense of a depraved story they'd heard from another man who claimed he'd been held against his.
good to see you, Big Fish. Welcome in. Thank you very much for coming in. Oh, you're welcome. I might try to do another one next week. There's so many cases that are going on, so many different things that are going on. I try to do, what I can.
His will here for weeks.
I mean, everything else happens, but that one is a new one, and no, that's just insane.
This morning, a 28-year-old man from Italy approached a traffic agent and said he'd escaped captivity at 38 Prince Street, having been held hostage and quickly moved in.
I saw like a sort of SWAT team going with, and then shortly after that, I saw a guy in a white robe and handcuffs come out.
The guy comes out in a white bathrobe, barefoot,
hands cuffed behind his back, got into a police car. He didn't look concerned, you know. He didn't look worried or anything like that.
The man in the bathrobe was, according to cops, a cryptocurrency entrepreneur who rents the home. Police say he'd had a business dispute with the victim who'd moved to his native Italy after a falling out months ago. But he returned May 6th, and that's when police say the home's occupant and another person effectively took the victim hostage and tortured him, tying him up, beating him, even throwing him through furniture. Police say the victim has traumatic injuries consistent with having been beaten. Inside.
Right? They always go for the sadistic type these days here. These kids, you know, kids these days. Think we do like you. You're just an enigma. Oh, I have no idea what's going on. I find you annoying, but I don't dislike you. That's Mustang. Oh.
At the house, they say they found multiple Polaroid pictures of him being tied up and tortured, along with multiple torture items in view. They also found a gun. The house, all 8 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms, sits set back from the sidewalk on this busy block in Soho. It was rented just a couple of months ago. Its most recent listing price, $75,000 per month.
Get out. Doesn't even make sense. 75 grand.
Sidewalk vendor Kyron Tully has been watching that house for months and says something's been off. He just never knew what.
I've seen people go in and out all the time and never really ever saw the same person twice. So we were wondering like what was going on in there.
Well,
it's the secret society, bro. I don't know what to tell you. We have a secret order here.
Apparently what formally charged him or named. They're also seeking at least one other person they say involved in the victim. Sources say he chose today to stage his escape because his tormentors told him they would kill him today. Right now, he's being treated at Bellevue Hospital. We're live in Soho tonight. Josh Einiger, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
What a bizarre story, Josh.
All right, so let's go here to this. Well, we'll play one more of these here, I guess. I had another one. Right here.
Breaking news story tonight. Charges now filed in connection after police say a tourist was held captive and tortured for weeks in Soho. Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Carlo live outside the police precinct in Chinatown. Anthony.
Mike, police say that victim, a 28-year-old man from
Zero Cool is here. Good to see you, Zero Cool. Yes, my fave.
Italy had a falling out with his former business partners, who in turn made false promises to get him back here so they could access his crypto account. Well, he ended up part of a sick, twisted extortion plot, held for more than 2 weeks, bound to a chair with a gun to his head. You have an explanation for this? From a Soho brownstone to the big house, John Waltz had nothing to say about.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kay. Hey, Zero Cool, good to see you.
What happened behind these walls, fit for a Hollywood thriller. But no, this was a real-life torture chamber, allegedly run by so-called crypto bros. Waltz was barefoot and in his bathrobe when first taken into police custody.
He literally looked like he just stepped out of the shower.
I thought it was a big celebrity or making a movie or something. I should have kidnapped him.
One of the charges a dejected-looking Waltz now faces. They may fit the bill for white-collar criminals, but this was no white-collar crime. Police sources say the cryptocurrency entrepreneurs kidnapped and tortured a former business partner in this Prince Street house, looking to extort him for millions in crypto after luring him back from Italy. Investigators say they tied him up, electrocuted him, tased him with his feet in water, and threatened to cut off his limbs with an electric chainsaw.
Usually, if you electrocute somebody, they're probably pretty much going to die. I mean, it's just.
Oh my gosh. That's insane.
This almost seems like a fake story here.
The depravity in this 8-bedroom, 10-bathroom house listed to rent for $75,000 a month, stopping fashionable Soho crowds in their tracks.
I heard someone like yelling in the house. There's this one girl walked by and she was like, if I were you, I would close the door. Like the police are out like with their guns like this.
Police stormed the house after the victim made an escape this morning on what the crypto bros allegedly said would be his death day. Oh,
that's funny. This doesn't sound right.
Captive since May 6th, drugged, tortured, and cut. He's now free, while Waltz is on his way down.
It's one of those unusual situations, to say the least.
Unusual is a good way to put it. The victim is being treated right now at Bellevue Hospital. Meanwhile, Mr. Waltz has been charged with 2 counts of assault in the 2nd degree, kidnapping in the 1st degree, unlawful.
You ain't kidding. I mean, they're all over the place.
Imprisonment in the 1st degree and criminal possession of a weapon. Police have arrested and charged a woman in this, and they are still looking at this hour for another alleged
the gall, a woman.
Crypto bro. We're live at the 5th precinct in Manhattan. Anthony Carlo.
Crypto bro, bruh. I don't know what the hell is going on anymore. I just don't. All right. One more thing, and then I'll get out of here. I want to play this. This is coming out. This came out a few days ago too. This is the latest on the Sebastian Rogers thing. Father Sebastian Rogers shares frustration over search for his son. It's been 453 days. I can't believe it. And if people don't know about the Sebastian Rogers case, sorry about that. He went missing from his house and he hasn't never been seen before. And so this is the latest on the father. So let's hold on a second. Let me see if I'm sharing this. Someone has to entertain Shibby. He's always entertaining us, yeah, for sure. Let's this.
Sebastian's biological father, Seth Rogers, was deeply frustrated when he spoke with me. He fears the case is going cold.
My son's been missing for 15 months, and they don't care.
Sebastian disappeared in February last year. He was just 15 years old. Initial search efforts involved local police, the TBI, and the FBI, but those physical searches have since shifted to focus on the investigative side. The last press conference on the case was more than a year ago.
I would love to see them actually conducting more searches. I'd like to have some communication.
Hey, it's Charlotte. Charlotte's here. Good to see you, Charlotte. Yes, that's right. I have to stay a little longer now. Charlotte's here. Charlotte came all the way from England. Your wrench was accidentally given to you. I'm entertaining. And Charlotte is in here. Charlotte's amazing. Charlotte's an amazing person. It's always good to see Charlotte. Yes, the trauma of the wrench brigade, we call it.
On the tips that have come in.
The Secret Wrench Society.
Just with me, so that I know that when a tip comes in, I'm not following up on what job they're supposed to do.
Seth says only one detective is actively assigned to the case and that he is often left to chase down.
Is it just me, or does this guy always sound drunk? No, I could do that. I could try to do that. That's good. Yes. Zeke still hasn't passed. That's right. Jack and Lily? Yes, I'll try to.
Found the same leads, also sent to law enforcement.
We need more than just one set of eyes on this case, but it all falls on my shoulder to ask people to help find my son. My son means something to me. These people should be doing their job.
In his push for progress, Seth says he's reached out to lawmakers and is even drafting federal legislation aimed at reforming how child protection agencies and the Amber Alert system handle missing children's cases.
It's a federal oversight law on places like CPS, DCS, the Amber Alert, getting it redone and taking it out of people's hands that don't care about the children.
According to the FBI, an estimated 460,000 children are reported missing in the U.S. every year. Seth says every one of those cases deserves attention, including Sebastian's.
A parent demands answers. We demand answers because our heart is missing. He is my world. I need him. I need him back with me.
We reached out to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office for a statement. They assured us this case remains a top priority and said in part, please know that behind the scenes, a tremendous amount of work has been done and will continue. Some aspects of the investigation are not visible to the public.
This case is just so horribly sad. It's just freaking terrible. Everybody that's left already, I booted them right after they decided to leave. I hope Charlotte's well. You okay, Charlotte? Shibby hazing is no longer allowed. Who says? Don't tempt music. Okay. Please know that behind these scenes, a tremendous amount of work has been done and will continue. Some aspects of the investigation are not visible to. They never tell the family anything.
Due to the sensitive nature of the case. Sebastian's family continues to ask for the community's help. If you know anything about Sebastian's whereabouts, you're asked to call the Sumner County Sheriff's Office or the TBI. Those numbers can be found on our website at WKRN.com. Live in Gallatin, Caitlin Quisenberry, News 2.
Okay. Let's do this here. Let's go. What was this done? Hold on a second.
Street has baffled people all.
When was this done? This was done 2 months ago. Well, we'll watch it anyways. Let's do it.
Over the mid-state and across the country.
Yeah, 1 year ago today, Sebastian Rogers vanished from his Hendersonville home without a trace. Hundreds of tips have poured in, but still no Sebastian.
Sebastian's mother and stepdad sat down with our Hollis now with how they're handling everything 1 year later. Tonight, in my one-on-one with Katie and Chris Proudfoot, you'll hear about the unwavering hope this family is clinging to and their message to you as they vow they will never give up in the search for their son.
It's a living nightmare, to be honest with you.
The teen with autism disappeared from his mom and stepdad's Hendersonville home in the overnight hours of February 26th.
What would you say to him when he walked in that door? Oh, God, I don't even know if I'd be able to speak. I'd probably bulldoze him down with hugs. Honestly, when I picture that, I just picture being able to hug him, to hold him, to smell him. I mean, just to be able to hear his voice, to hear his laugh.
The teen with autism disappeared from his mom and stepdad's Hendersonville home in the overnight hours of February 26th.
We do believe there's a chance it is Sebastian. We're just trying to find out if that could be the case.
Steve Fisher, a private investigator hired by Katie and Chris Proudfoot, says this video that first aired on WSMV a new.
I have a feeling in this case here that's all about bullying. Something screams in this case to me about bullying.
Lead in the ongoing search for Sebastian. Video from the night Sebastian disappeared.
We went through over 100 hours of surveillance, and it wasn't until the third pass through the surveillance that we even spotted this person. And there's a person at 12:17 a.m. in the same neighborhood that Sebastian's from, that walks southbound in the neighborhood, goes behind a vehicle. It appears that they're trying to stay out of sight of another person that's walking their dog, and then doubles back after it's clear.
Fisher says he's working to learn if that person wearing dark clothing in the video is accounted for in the investigation.
It actually gives us more rejuvenated hope that we may actually be onto something. We just have to run it down.
Over the last 12 months, emergency responders and volunteers spent hundreds of hours searching for the missing teen. Drone mapping, ground searches, scent dogs, and the scouring of surveillance video. Why do you think Sebastian is still missing?
That's tough to say. It was the largest manhunt in Tennessee history for a child. And absolutely zero evidence. There's nothing out there. Law enforcement's working diligently. They are working hard over and over and over.
What do you want to say to
a photograph? I think I do. Hold on a second here. It's all about the vein pouch. If you have a photo of yourself, I can have Chat GPT turn it into an avatar so I can create a thumbnail. Okay. Whoops.
Anyone out there who wants to say that one of you could have something to do with Sebastian's disappearance?
I would say to pause and to think, and I would say to consider the sources of information. Try to make sure that you're getting legitimate information. Avoid the rumors.
Katie and Chris say they're determined to bring their son home and want the community to stay focused.
I want to ask everyone not to forget, and I want to encourage people to keep helping and to keep bringing awareness not only to our son, but to all of the missing children, because they all deserve to go home.
And if Sebastian's out there listening, I asked Katie what she'd want to say to him.
I would say that know that we all love you, and that there are so many people that care and so many people that are looking, and hang in there and know that we're going to find you, know that we're going to bring you home.
Investigating agencies say Sebastian's mom, stepdad, and biological father have fully cooperated, and there's no evidence to support foul play. Now, we also contacted law enforcement about the video in our story. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office told us that law enforcement had possession of the original video that the private investigator says is new since 72 hours after Sebastian was reported missing. And after thoroughly investigating this lead...
Paula's taking off. Where's Paula? Have a good night, Paula, if you're taking off. Stay safe. It's always good to see you here in the chat, Paula. Have a great week, Paula. We love Paula. Paula's got a great channel. I thought I just posted this in the chat.
They determined it has no relevance to the case. Now, you can watch my full interview with Katie and Chris Proudfoot on our WSMV4 app. Holly Thompson, WSMV4.
All right, so let's hold on a second. We'll try to play this till I can get struck here, because I don't know if I can actually play this because it's Canada. A second. But this is the case that's going on up in Nova Scotia right now. Probably not going to play all of this, but this was done 2 days ago. So CBC Nova Scotia News. Let's try this here. I wanted to play this too. Shit. Let's do this first.
So are we ready to go?
Okay, so this we've covered this a few times. Call King Charles. He said it's okay. Thanks, buddy. So we've covered this case a few times. This is the OnlyFans model. Remember, she's being accused of unaliving her boyfriend. She basically back in 2022, and she's claiming it was self-defense. She's claiming that she, who knows?
So we have defense counsel here, state here, defendant is present. You guys ready to go?
Yes, Judge. Sean Abuhoff on behalf of the state, along with Kathleen Hope.
And Frank Briet on behalf of Ms. Clenny. She's present before the court, and also co-counsel Ms. Pugliese.
So we are here for defendant's motion or amended motion to disqualify the state attorney's office.
You guys remember this one? She basically said that she did this in self-defense.
I was able to get through a lot of the binder. I've obviously looked through the motions, the response, and some of the case law, but we're ready to go. So defense.
Yes, Judge. You have the binder. I know you've read it.
I haven't read through all of it.
Okay.
Got dropped off a day in advance, but I have
Sure.
read through a lot of it.
Sure. And Judge, our written pleadings say a lot. And so I don't think this oral argument has to repeat everything that's already been delineated in our amended motion and especially in the reply. So I'm just going to highlight some things for you. So the standard is.
So for the standard and why you believe you've met the standard and.
Yeah. So the standard to disqualify the state.
It was so funny. It wasn't funny, but I remember when the Queen Elizabeth II died. There were people in Ireland and Scotland cheering. The bitch is dead.
Attorney's office has been found in Downs versus Moore, and that is the defendant must show substantial misconduct or actual prejudice. And the case law that interprets what actual prejudice means is more than just an appearance of impropriety. But in the reply, in the state's response to our motion, they're highlighting most of their conduct that they've done after what I would refer to as the misconduct of the ASA claim. Position, so I don't need to rehash facts of that particular breach into the defense camp. What the state argues is that look at everything that we've done since. We've sealed the V case off, we've restricted access. I would just note that Mr. Quinn's still on the delivery list for pleadings, but we unclick him to kind of wall him off. But what I think is most important, Judge, is Mr. Abuhoff and Ms. Hogue. It's not what they did, Judge. It's what they didn't do. And what they didn't, which is contained, I believe it's Exhibit A to our motion. Yes, it's Exhibit A. We have a letter. As soon as we realized upon the arrest of Courtney Clenny's parents and the allegations contained within the arrest warrant, it was clear that the state had obtained our work product or attorney-client privilege communications. as recommended by the Florida Bar, as soon as we realized that they weren't in possession of our confidential communications, we sent a letter addressed to Chief Assistant Kathleen Hoke, Sean Abahoff, and Mr. Quinnen. That first letter was February 15th of 2023. The response to it was sent via email. The response we received from the state was complete silence. They didn't even acknowledge receiving this. Exhibit B, another letter shortly thereafter, February 28th, 2024, same letter, second request. That was received, sent out via email, and the response to that request for having our confidential privileged documents back or communications was silence. Exhibit C, third request. This one came February 10 of 2025. That was after the chapter 119 revealed the email, the confidential privileged email. We sent the third request again. Ms. Hogue, Mr. Abahoff, Mr. Quinnen, this third request for our work product and confidential communications again met with silence. So why is that important? The case law that we've talked about in the written submissions talks about substantial misconduct. And what does that mean? The case law doesn't say exactly what that means, but what the case law does say, every case needs to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. So we have to look at the facts of what has occurred in this litigation, and the appellate courts, again, would review that on a case-by-case basis, because every misconduct is, it would, I think, be different. So what we have here is, again, the court's very aware of Mr. Quinnen's misconduct, but Mr. Abahoff and Ms. Hogue, they had a responsibility. When they received these letters, they should have said, you know what, Sabrina, let's look into this. What exactly is it that you think that we have? They didn't do anything. So I believe their misconduct is by omission, which I think the court should consider in combination with the misconduct of the ASA Quinnen in reviewing those materials, not disclosing that to the court, which is one of, it's not a two-pronged analysis. It's substantial misconduct or it's not and what the state relies on is the actual prejudice. They're saying, hey, she hasn't been prejudiced. Nobody else has seen this stuff. But I think the court, the analysis that we think is important for the court to consider is, does the conduct of the state by acts or omissions rise to the level of substantial misconduct? And I think it has.
If people knew more, if most people knew where that song actually came from, be careful if you're going to an outhouse, watch for ticks. Absolutely. Watch for a lot of things. Bathroom break. Okay, it's incredibly interesting. The closer the vein structures get to the heart, the more unique they are. Oh, she was yes, sorry about that. So we got Heather's this is her GoFundMe page here, GoFundMe thing here. It was set up for Miss Heather. And if you're going to announce bathroom break, be specific. And also, if you're going to go to a bathroom, don't forget to leave a quarter. I was just going to say about the Elizabeth. No outhouse. All right, so let's get out of this here. I want to play this, and then I'll get out of here. Okay. Say it now while she's gone. Don't forget to leave the toilet seat up. Okay, so we'll play this one here. This is the latest, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. We'll play this. This is 5 days ago.
The search for two.
And if I get a strike, I'm just going to blame Jimmy.
Missing children in Nova Scotia is now in its third week. Nova Scotia RCMP say they are determining their next steps after another ground and air search for 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan took place over the weekend. The siblings went missing from their Lansdowne Station home May 2nd. Police say they have found zero trace of what happened to these 2 children. For more on where the investigation stands this morning, we're joined from Midland, Ontario by Chris Lewis, CB Public Safety Analyst and former OPP Commissioner. Good morning.
Good morning.
We'll remember the press conference where the police called off a portion of their search for Lily and Jack on Sunday evening. What could that indicate where this investigation stands as of today?
And it just seems it's weird, like kings and queens of England. Like if you go through the history of the kings and queens of England, most of the time, the people who were not supposed to be, or who weren't really thought about being in line to the kings and queens of England, are usually the best, right? Like Queen Elizabeth II's father, the stutterer there, he got the throne because what's his face abdicated, and she wouldn't have even if he doesn't abdicate, then she doesn't get the throne. So she was obviously the last thought to get that. So, but she ended up doing a pretty damn good job, in my opinion. But there's a lot of Irish people and a lot of Scottish people that can't stand her. That's just the way it is.
Well, when they made that call to downscale the search, at that point they made statements that they didn't believe the children would still be alive, which was somewhat concerning because it hadn't been that long at that point. Of course, it has gone much longer now. They are continuing some searching, but it appears that they're weighing more.
And they actually did a movie on Queen Elizabeth II's uncle, the Lost Prince. Remember? He actually had epilepsy, and they didn't know what the hell it was at the time, so they shipped him off to the parents shipped him off to a basically out of sight, out of mind. They didn't even give a shit about him.
Heavily on the investigative side of this, which of course they're not going to really talk about.
They definitely didn't want him around them and the diplomats for sure. But that whole movie, The Lost Prince, was done. That was Elizabeth II's uncle.
Given the trying to protect the integrity of that investigation, but they seem to be focusing more on that than actually trying to recover the children, which of course I'm sure they still will, because regardless of whether they're alive or dead at this point, it's awful to even say that, they certainly do want to recover the remains of the kids.
You know, people are going back over this timeline, as
These
our
people
police
aren't speaking Canadian. This is a Canadian TV show, and they're not speaking Canadian. She doesn't even look Canadian.
Their investigation, Lily and Jack were first reported missing May the 2nd, and then a nonstop multi-agency search began on the very same day. Then on May 7th, police scaled back that investigation and added that the chances of the children being alive, as you just mentioned, were very low. Then after that, May 17th and 18th, there's this renewed ground and air.
All right, May 2nd, children reported missing. May 2nd, multi-agency search begins. Search scaled back. May 7th. And they redid this whole thing on the 17th and 18th, which is a few days ago.
Air search of Lansdowne Station, that didn't find any evidence. Does this tell us what that means about the scope of this investigation? Is it narrowing in on something?
I think what it means really is that the RCMP know more about this than we do, which is totally understandable. The RCMP are good at this sort of thing. I mean, they've been conducting huge searches and conducting major investigations for a long, long time. So we have to rely on them and the fact that they
put it in my I didn't give you a headshot. I gave you a something on my post because I don't think I can put it in here. It's not letting me anyways. So on my page on my YouTube page, I put my owl in there for you. What am I spot on about? No.
They know what they're doing. They're led
Oh,
by
what a cute kid. These kids are cute. Are they from there? Are these people from Nova Scotia, or were they just vacationing there?
their investigation. I'm sure they're following evidence and deciding where to go and what to do based on that, as well as tips and other things that they're receiving.
I don't know if you want my face. I'm pretty sure you want people to show up. They live there? There's like 10 people that live in Nova Scotia, I think.
But the speculation in the community and on social media is just crazy. Pointing fingers at all sorts of people, which may have had nothing to do with this. So we really have to let the RCMP continue doing what they do well.
Chris, I want to ask you about that because people watching this morning have probably read some of those social media posts, and you're right. They, in an information vacuum, I have learned that.
What am I doing? I'm Canadian. They showed their house. Okay.
People begin to fill it in with their own detective work and their own sleuthing and trying to put together clues on their own. What kind of a challenge does that kind of attention bring to a case like this?
Well, it certainly brings attention to it, and bringing attention to it at times isn't a bad thing because it may generate some tips from the public. But, it's really a lot of pushing the RCMP into a corner in terms of trying to get them to say X or Y about who they suspect or what they suspect. And that's not fair to them. They just need to be able to do what they do without that sort of pressure on them.
All right, so I'll try to figure it out. There's at least 100 Canadians on the East Coast. 40 of them are in Sunnyvale Trailer Park.
At the same time, it's putting pressure on people because, folks are saying, well, when she said this, when he said that, they're pointing fingers and maybe towards very innocent people. So in fairness to them and the RCMP, that we just need to back off on that and let things happen.
One of the things, Chris, that comes up as well is the fact that if this story perhaps had happened in a bigger center, one of the major, Montreal, Calgary, Toronto, Vancouver, this would be a story that would be headlines every day. 2 young children disappeared without a trace, a massive investigation, yet it doesn't seem to have that kind of attention here in Canada. Is it because of the smaller community? Like, what would your insight to that be?
Well, I think it would be this because of the smaller community. As we know, the news cycle and the number of news outlets in a place like the Greater area are just, so much bigger and more powerful than the smaller arm in the Eastern Canada. So that certainly is part of it. Down there, I know people in Nova Scotia that, they're very, very touched by this.
Yeah.
But pretty small population there. Just it doesn't seem to be receiving the same amount of interest, which is sad in many, many ways, and reality in others, I suppose.
Chris, what are you watching for in the next couple of days?
Well, I'm waiting for the RCMP to make some sort of an announcement that they've either located the children or they've made an arrest. They're really looking at the who, what, where, when around all of this and following tips and leads. And I think that big piece of that is a big machine that's happening without us seeing
That's
it.
freaking classic. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll post one on my page, YouTube page, because I can't, it's not letting me post one here in the chat. So serve my queen and country and roll again in a heartbeat. The lion in our country is just waking. This guy sounds like, I don't know.
And that's the way it should be. But
He sounded a little different if he was speaking his native language.
I think we'll hear something from them in the days to come.
Chris Lewis, CTV public safety analyst, former OPP commissioner. Always great to have your insights. Thank you.
You too. Good morning. Take care.
Yeah, you take care too.
And they all play hockey, every single one of them. I shouldn't say that. They probably don't. All right, so that's it. That's what I'm going to do. I don't really have anything more. Okay, you can do that. You can do that if you want. A Canuck Carter. That's fucking classic. Oh. Well, it got heavy to laugh, so that's good news. Heather, we adore you. Skated before going. You know, it's really strange. It's like that's all they do is play hockey up there, and there's only one hockey team left in the NHL playoffs. It's weird. I think it's because they keep all the good hockey players for the World Cup. That's just my opinion. Anyways, Heather, we adore you. You're amazing. I just hope you feel better. Hope you get some sleep today too. Don't forget, we got the GoFundMe page for Heather scrolling at the bottom here. You're just amazing, Heather. Wouldn't be a chat without Heather Brown. Shibby's awesome too. That's right, because all the good Canadian players play on U.S. teams. Yeah, because that's where the money is. Shibby's awesome too. Dirty Diana, let me know if you need anything else. Just let me know what time you plan on going on. Please make it later. The later the better. Charlotte, you're great. I'm sorry that every time you come on here, I'm just about to leave. That might be a good thing for you. Who knows? Charlotte's amazing. Charlotte's an amazing person. Peggy O, thank you so much. If Peggy O wants a wrench, just let me know. Mustang 65, you're awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. Always appreciate you being here. You guys are just amazing. Once again, thanks for the 300 subscribers. I appreciate that. You guys make the chat. You guys are great. Dino was in here. I know he was. He took off. I don't know where he went. Hope he's doing well. I'm going to forget some people. I apologize. I know JCN was in here. I always forget her. Zeke was in here. Zero Cool was in here. Jocelyn is awesome too. Jocelyn was in here. She's got a great channel. Dirty Diana was in here. Dirty Diana's awesome. Hopefully we can get something going tonight on a live later today. Big Fish Small Pond was here. Awesome. Thank you very much for coming in. Miss K, thank you so much for coming in. Hopefully I'll try to do a part 2 on the Kyron Horman case. Let us know if anything changes on that. I'm not willing to give a percentage of who I think could be responsible for that yet. Paula was in here. Paula's amazing channel. Farmer was in here. Farmer's great. Check out Farmer. He's great. He's got a great channel. He's awesome. Who else was in here? I forgot some people. Also, people on the replay, thank you very much for coming in on the replay. Really appreciate it. I know a lot of people watch the replay, so I appreciate that. What we call the replay crew. Who else was in here? You guys are all great. I want everybody to have a great week. Whatever you do, don't die. And until next week, we'll see you later. I'll probably see you guys, some of you guys tonight on Carol was in here too. That's right. Carol and Tracy Fleetwood was in here. Tracy's awesome. Thank you, Carol, for coming in. Hold on a second. Let me stop sharing this. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I can't scroll up all the time. All the way up. But you guys have been great. We'll see y'all later. Let me know if you need anything else, Diana. DD. I'll play an outro and get out of here. You guys have been great. Whoops. Charlotte, you're amazing. Thank you. Okay, thank you. 30, Diana. Heather Brown, we love you. Get some sleep.